I don't call this February 16th, 2024 meeting to order. Eddie, you want to lead us in pledge?
Yes, sir. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eddie, you got exonerations or you can give them to the other two commissioners, whatever it. Please, thank you.
One little page there.
You don't have any other besides that? Okay.
Okay, I move we approve the exonerations.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Payroll?
I move we approve payroll for March 6th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Vouchers and invoices? Anybody have a problem with them?
I did have one couple questions. One question. Steve's Auto Parts 3596.72. Is that for one item, multiple items?
It's probably multiple items. Which one's it on? Is it on General County?
Yes.
That's the park repair bill. It's multiple invoices.
Okay. All right. That was it.
I make a motion to approve vouchers and invoices.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting minutes?
Okay. We have two sets of minutes. The minutes for 2/6. I have asked that the questions and answers that were given to the Fire Association be attached. Because the questions were asked in a question format, as in question number 5, question number 3, question 2. I don't know if we're going to have a motion to attach those or not.
I think you can just move that we approve with the attachments.
Okay. Then I move that we approve the minutes for 2/6 with the attachment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Also make a motion to approve the minutes for 2/12.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. State settlements.
I have to recuse myself on this one.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the estate settlements.
Gone through them. Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I think you can still sign it even though we approved it.
Okay.
Yeah. You can tell.
Then you got your Board of Equalization and Review.
Yeah.
And then it's.
The Fayette County Commission will now meet as a Board of the Equalization and Review. Eddie, do y'all have anything to present to the commission?
No, sir.
Is there anybody in the room that has a petition?
Anyone online? Nothing online.
Nothing online. I'll make a motion to adjourn sine die as a Board of the Equalization and Review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
One more every 3 days.
We'll swear in.
Commissioners, I have two young men that want to become deputy sheriffs. They went through this process of taking a written test, physical agility, background check, psychological, polygraph, you name it, they've done it. So I'm asking for the county commission approve me to hire both of them. We'll swear them in today. The first one's going to be Dakota Shreves. Greg says, come on up here. I don't know, we'll find out. They both will start the academy. This is the quickest. The chief and I worked on this. We took the written test and stuff. They start the academy on the 26th of this month. Wow. So it's a quick turnaround, and they will graduate as new improved deputy sheriff on June 7th. So they have 16 weeks. Dakota, is all your family in here that was going to be here? Your wife, where's she at? Come on up here. You can stand with him. Wayne said he wants you to stand with him as he take those to office and then get his badge when it gets done. So, Commissioner, it's all yours.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Dakota Shreves,
You solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of office of deputy sheriff, the duties of the office of deputy sheriff in and for Fayette County Sheriff Department, and for Fayette County Sheriff Department, and for the county of Fayette, and for the county of Fayette, state of West Virginia, to the best of my skill and judgment. To the best of my skill and judgment. So help me God. So help me God.
Here you go, man, and you can stick him with it too, okay? Just come here, I think, overall, the chief put a hole in there for you, put it in there, and up this way. Yes, sir. Can you get it? Let's stick it. That's all right. Let's see where it's not. I can start to be out of that.
Sheriff's done put it in.
I can't use it either. There you go. Then I'm starting to get a couple pictures of you there.
I need to say ouch.
Right over here. Just I
Awesome.
Congratulations. We get our pictures later, probably. But they go ahead and let them shake your hand and stuff.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry. Need you to sign it. Your life away right there. Make sure you want to sign it. Yes. Well, I had to make, I'll get a second one, and I want them to have it. That's it for you. We get some more pictures later. Next up is Josh Whitwell of Warsaw. Hey guys, I'll be up on like. So Josh comes from us. I know him since he was a young feller. He's a former Marine. Served our country for 8 years, right? 7 years? 6 years. 6 years, close enough. And he's born and raised here. Both of these young men are graduates of Oakville High School also, so they are from Fayette County. That's another good thing. Out of county, nothing gets you over there. I think Josh, your family's all in here?
Yeah.
You wanted somebody to come up, your girlfriend and your brother, right?
And my father.
And your father. Y'all can come up here. And stand beside him as he takes oath of office. And I'm getting out of your way. Excuse me.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jonathan Woodruff,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Deputy Sheriff
of the duties of office of Deputy Sheriff
in and for Fayette County Sheriff's Department,
in and for Fayette County Sheriff's Department,
in and for the County of Fayette,
in and for the County of Fayette,
State of West Virginia,
State of West Virginia,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
so help me God.
So help me God. All right. Who's going to do the honors here? You gonna do it? I played football with this young one on my Game Boy. They taught me how to play this stuff. Put it on you. You don't even wait on it. Or whatever it's called. You can't keep my butt. It's been a while. Game Boys, I'm old and tired. Been up since 5 years. Wow. Let's get some pictures of the Miss Amy's over there, and we get some more outside so we can get out of Commissioner's work.
Very good. One more. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Tanya started the signs.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. Y'all get a photo of both of them together. Whenever they're.
Got here. Oh, wait a minute. I was like, for commissioner. With all both of them? Yeah, both of them. Have the cover come out. Oh, appreciate you, Commissioner. Yeah.
He said,
Good job, I appreciate it.
It's not. 2 and 3. Yeah.
One more.
Yeah.
Great job.
Commissioner, appreciate you. See you back in a little bit.
They're always good.
Yeah. I enjoy them now. I wish we had one in the week. Okay.
Probably doing some time because I've never administered and I've taken like between the military and the ICI and the military, okay, lawyer in several states.
Wow, I didn't know you was in several states.
Yeah.
Maybe baseball.
He's great. Washington. One of the smaller. Yeah, he sent us stuff and I don't know if he got it out or not. We were out there.
Must have left them in that other room.
Okay.
Maybe it's right here.
At a minimum. Right.
All right, Bruce, let's see who we got here. We got 1 minute, Ruth, 2 minutes. You got something you want to?
So the flood money, we're gonna have discussions because,
Move that we move it to, our special meeting on Friday. Yeah. So we have, somebody's not available.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
next thing is y'all wanted to send a letter to the health department regarding water testing for Candleton Hollow. Do you want to just approve the letter and then?
Yeah.
I'm game for that, the 2 commissioners.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
For. So you guys send us to the executive committees requesting, election of officials.
All records. I move we approve the letter.
Second, all in favor?
Hey, Michelle, just, you were gonna have 40 precincts. How many did we have last time? Last 39, so we just increased 1. Okay, cool.
And then the last one will be under, because
It's not gonna be today.
okay, even better.
Yeah, so, what are our March?
Every Wednesday in March.
I think we need to just, I'm gonna move that we table it pending, Josh Davis giving us those numbers. We can put it back on the docket after that,
Second.
All in favor?
since we don't have a date to postpone it to. You got shushed.
Well, that's from, that's from just.
Okay, do you want to present your budget early?
I have the extra 15 minutes.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's presenting his budget later.
So I think you guys got the election budget first in the packet. I'm not making any changes to that. I think those numbers look fine. What we spent last time to coming up for this election. So we will get a small amount of money back from Mount Hope and Montgomery. Not gonna be a ton, but we will get a little bit back there for what we charge them for having their municipals on our election. We are in the process of getting the new shape files to WVU, so we'll have a new pretty big map with all the polling places and stuff on it with the right precinct shapes. So that's all I have for the elections, unless you guys have questions on the election.
I'm good. The other two commissioners are good.
Like I said, I didn't see any none of the numbers seemed need to be changed. Okay. So. My county clerk's budget, I am asking for a raise. They range from 2.5% to 5%, depending on their performance reviews and what I feel like their job duties are in relation to how much we're paying them. So, which then changes not all of the numbers, but the FICA and the retirement. I calculated all that in with Ruth's spreadsheet after the spreadsheet decided to cooperate. It was trying to reference yours in the R drive to pull some of the numbers in. And I'm like, I'm not at work. So it's fine. We got it working. Let's see. There's an increase in my travel budget. I'm now on the executive board for WaveCo, and I'm the vice president of the County Clerks Association. And so we have extra meetings, both of those that I'll need to travel to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen it on Facebook or something the other day on the news or somewhere. You spoke. Yeah, I've seen that.
So yeah. The only other thing I wanted to point out on, well, two more. One, we need a new copy in our office. The two that we have are old, and every time Appalachian comes out to work on them, they go, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the parts for this. So eventually they're just going to quit working, and we can get one to replace both of them, and it'll lower our maintenance contract too. So because the older they are, the higher the maintenance contracts are. I have an older one. I didn't this time. I've gotten two. The last quote I got was about $6,500, and the maintenance contract was a little under 1,000. Yeah. So, the only other thing I really wanted to point out was our revenue. What I consider our revenue. People are paying a whole lot more for their real estate in Fayette County than they have been. I was shocked when I ran the numbers. We more than doubled our. Essentially the excise tax. I'm sure it's the grand majority of this number. More than doubled it from 21-22 to 22-23.
I asked about it a month ago when you wasn't here, and yeah, it's.
I knew we were doing well,
yeah.
But I didn't realize it was that much. And then 23-20. So the first half of 23-24, we've already collected more than we collected in 21-22. So that's still on par to be another 500 grand. Just in that. Our total is 1.2 million, but half of that goes to the state or farmland or someplace like, and part of that is building permits, which we're just a pass through for that, so that Angela doesn't have, or Alan don't handle physical cash and checks. They just bring it to us. We put it in the computer and it goes to the general fund. So that's about it. The two new funds are doing what they're supposed to do. They both have about 7,000 in them as of the end of December. We'll just continue collecting that money until we see what it's going to be as an average monthly, and then we can figure out better how to spend that money wisely. I don't want to go in and start using it as soon as I've gotten it, just because it's there.
Okay, can you remind us what Fund 61 and 62 are and what they go to specifically?
Yeah, so 61 is election security. Pretty sure I have to go back and double check. That was the one that the Secretary of State really wanted to build in. We're not sure we're going to get federal money anymore for election security, the HAVA grants. And so this was a way to take a small portion of the state excise tax, put it back into the county for that purpose. 62 is technically labeled something about the Electronic Records Act, which was done, gosh, 20 years ago, about making records available online and in electronic format. But essentially that is to keep our records rooms up to date with technology and security as well. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Was it a cyber, maybe election?
You sent me the cybersecurity one. Yeah, I didn't look at all the attachments, but there's very likely. There's
The one that GST is applying for, or
I
different
don't
one?
know if it's the same thing or something else. I think I sent it to both of them.
I don't remember seeing it.
There's
a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah. There's a lot out there. CISA, boy, someone's asking me what that stands for. It's security, cybersecurity. It's a federal program. We just got our new field rep for that. And he actually he left the Secretary of State's office to go work for them. So I'm excited to work with Dave in that. He'll come out and do security analysis on everything and tell us what we need to shore up and fix as far as election security stuff goes. So.
Y'all want to go? Do y'all want to go ahead and see if Fayette County Park, see if Brian can?
Well, Teresa's here. We'll get her back to her.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter, Brian. We can take Teresa if she's here. I mean, that's fine.
Whatever.
Hey, I mean, I gather, I'm gonna let y'all flip a coin. Either Teresa or Brian.
Teresa's,
That way Jerry, I'm trying to get Jerry to show up.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, come
that'll-
on, Teresa. Yeah, come on.
But he's not late if he shows up.
good morning, everybody.
Good morning, ma'am.
I hate that we only see you at budget time.
I see her.
I know you see her, but we don't get to see her.
I know, I need to fix that, I need to be more available, you know.
Oh, you're available. We just
Yeah, you're just right across the street.
pleasant. It's a pleasantry.
You're as busy as you are.
I want to start off by addressing something that's been bothering me personally, and that's the lack of a satellite location up and running. But I have some information and maybe some reasoning for that, and I want you all to know that I feel like I've let you down, but I'm not going to let you down, and we're going to get this done, whatever you all need. So I do have some good news to share with you, and I know I put the budget request right on top, but if you all want to care to look through there, there's two of them. The first one is our regular budget for this location. The second, and it's out of print for some reason, so that's convenient. The second budget request is 2 pages. The totals are on the second page, and that is with the satellite location included.
That's a 681.
Yes.
Okay.
So our new budget that I'm asking for this year is 520,601. It's a $58,223 increase from last year. The satellite location budget is 681, and it is an increase total of 161,337,000 approximately in some sense. What I need to explain, and I'm very proud of, is the first year over there I went from crawling to walking. I'm blessed with good staff. For a while it was me and our driver. But we overcame that. We got fully staffed this last year, and we have good staff, and they are not only working, but they have doubled their workloads. And I can show you that in our numbers. Our referrals and daily population. We used to have the 2 vans. We still have the 2 vans, and we would run 1 van every day, regular transportation.
All right, let me jump off here. Let me know if you get all that together.
Our second van was just for daily runs and other stuff. For the past 6 months, 4 months, we run both vans morning and afternoon. We have one that does one route, which is my areas and Valley. And the second van runs what we call more the local route, which is everything around here, sometimes to Anstead, but mostly around Fayetteville, Oak Hill, Mount Hope, and Pax. So and they're not wasted trips, it's full. Some days we have to have certain people in for certain things like drug court and whatnot. We literally have a quasi classification system that we're running now just because we don't have enough seats and vans and drivers, but we're doing it. It's a good thing.
Are any of them using the New River Transit Authority?
Yes, some of them do. That doesn't include the ones that provide their own transportation and ride the bus, and we are using that.
Okay.
We have several that use that. But it's nothing negative. We're getting it done. Nobody's being, falling through the cracks. It's a good thing.
We are sending a letter to New River Transit after their briefing to us last week and to the Board of Education about maybe trying to get a bus or smaller bus for this and another one to help get the kids around the county. So that is something that we're looking into, just as a heads up.
Good, thank you. But we worked up the daily population or average population for you. And we have our intakes and completions on there. We have the GPS numbers on there all the way from January 23 to December. It goes from a daily average population of 28. That's just in the building. That doesn't count everybody on GPS. To now we're at 56 and 19 on GPS. And that's up to the minute as of February yesterday. A few days ago. We've already had 10 referrals to Davenport just in February. We're growing exponentially, and honestly, the growth was what I was afraid of. I was just afraid that we would have a lull and Montgomery would fall flat, or another satellite location. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. As a matter of fact, it's steadily increasing right there, and we're busting at the seams, but it's all good. Staff are running their heads off, and honestly, I think they all enjoy their jobs. They talk about it quite frequently. They like what they're doing. So they're working their butts off, and I can't praise them enough. They see something needs to be done, they get it done. It's a true team. We're small, but we're mighty over there. It's a 96.4% increase in 1 year.
Wow. That's good. Wow.
So with that being said, I will tell you all now the good news. Our operating costs just for this fiscal year, this 6 months, we have taken from the county commission expenditure letters that we get every month. We've spent $274,943. We've received during that time $114,496 in grant funds, and we've deposited $110,720 in revenue. We've got another $75,000 out in billing, over $75,000 out in billing that we're waiting for the checks. So if you take our operating costs, what we spent so far, plus and then deduct the grant and the revenue, we turned the corner. We've gained $25,728 to the good, and that's in the first 6 months of this year. And like I said, that's literally that crew over there busting their butts. Then the icing on top of that is that we've increased our jail bill through the use of GPS and day report. And that's this page. And you can see it's actually broken down this time between GPS and day report, how many days worth of jail bill that we actually saved. It was 130 for almost 138,000 using GPS, and it was 368,000 using day report. So those two, that's just this fiscal year, that 137 and 368. So right now we're sitting at 506 jail bill savings. For the entire year of 2023, that total was a little over $1 million. So I think we're doing the right things. I think we're going in the right direction. And now we're fully staffed. We could use a few more, and that is where the satellite location budget comes in. We would definitely need the proposal that I've done is for 2 staff at maximum benefits. One to be a case manager, one to be an assistant, and both of them driving. And then with myself and my deputy able to monitor satellite location, take turns, and train and get folks, squared away, make sure they're not feeling like they're by themselves. I feel like now, I don't mean to be a little overzealous, but I feel like now if we did have satellite location, if you all are still thinking about that, that it would probably be as big as this program right here. The only thing I can say is this building is amazing because of its location, because we are constantly in the courts. That's the other thing we've done this year is just grow. We've grown out, we've grown up. Our relationships with all of the other offices and entities that we deal with every day. It's a lot. I'm proud to be part of it. I can't help but say that. I don't mean to be too.
Oh, we've said you've done y'all have done a
yeah.
jacket job. I mean,
You got-
amazing.
You turned it around from where the judges didn't want to send anybody there to now you have probably unprecedented.
I would like to think that they rely on us heavily. Magistrates, judges, probation, we work so close with them, specialty course and stuff. And I don't think they have anything bad to say with it about us. I mean, all I hear is good, but if I'm open to any kind of constructive criticism, mean criticism, I don't care. I need to know. But I think they like us. I think that we've developed an actual working relationship with them now versus just being there and kind of just hanging out. It's been a process, but I feel we're in a good place and we can handle more. We're going to have to just with numbers here, but that's why I am asking for some small raises, a small percentage raise for Kincaid, Walton, Hente, and Sutton. If you notice on Mr. Sorrell, he's our driver. He's been with us for 2 years in May. He works a terrible split shift schedule. He doesn't complain. He is always there, always reliable. He does a great job. Not only is he a good employee, but he's an excellent transportation officer and fleet manager now. So his role is expanding as well. And he was only making $12.60 an hour. And it's just not a good wage. It's just not a good livable wage. And if I had to prioritize anything,
It would be his.
it would be his. Yeah. So let me see here if I forgot anything. There is a small quote on the back here. It's a verbal quote from, I think it's Stevens Chevrolet. They do have a 2020 Chevy Express passenger rating sitting there. If we would have a satellite, we would definitely have to have that. Honestly, we could use it right now. It would be on the road every day. But we could make it without it, but we would have to have it if we opened a satellite. And that's just a quote. They had 2 out there. That was the lowest mileage we had on them. I communicate with, I get regular reports from a couple of dealerships over junk emails about transport vans, but it's hard to find. You can find cargo vans, but we need seats and windows.
Mm.
So they're a little hard to come by. I was surprised to see 2 of them sitting out there a while back. And so I looked at that. That's why I threw that in there. Besides the increase in personal expenses, the only other major increase, and it's pretty significant, is on departmental supplies and materials. Drug testing materials. Of course, we do get all that back in reimbursement, but they do cost quite a bit. So that's, to cover that. And it's not all that. I too need a new, told me the same thing. I can't get parts for this anymore. That's as dark as it's going to get. Our printer, scanner, copier is on its last leg. We've been gently handling it to keep it up and running. So the price of that, he did give me Appalachian did give me a verbal quote for $2,200, but that was for a same or similar machine if he could get it, which they're kind of. He said it might be more than that. I'd be lucky to get my hands on one for $2,200. So I went with $2,200. But with all these new staff, I do need a couple of computers and printers because I've got 2 of them working on donated from Ben Morgan computers that he got from a school somewhere when he was cleaning out. So I'm not sure what his project was, but he had them. He donated them to us, and we got them working. They're not the best, but we're making it. But I think it would be nice to give staff good equipment to work on. They're working really hard, and they would really appreciate a new computer to work on. So that's it. That's what I got to give you. And like I said, I'll take any advice, criticism, anything to keep going over there. I feel like we're doing good stuff and we can do more.
So do you think based on your analysis of the numbers and where your participants live, that Montgomery is the best location for the satellite office?
No, it waxes and wanes, and for as many
Because
as
of
we
the
have
devil
had
right there.
in the valley, we've got more now than that's 4.5, 5 months. They're from this.
So up here.
Yeah. I mean, if we had something across the bridge, that would take one whole van load. If we had, in here, or if we had one towards the other side of the county, that would take the other van load. And then we could prioritize, and we put some thought into it. I give it a thought actually. We would develop an actual classification system, and we would have stable versus unstable. We would have the less stable here, where they were closer to services, closer to our tenured staff to monitor health. And then as they get stable, move them out to their satellite areas where they're closer to their homes, their works, and we put some thought. Like I said, we're going to have to grow somewhere. I just don't know which way.
If you guys could put some numbers together and then come back and present what your recommendations are, that would be helpful because,
I think it's in here, isn't it?
Is that in here? Like where
The other
the locations that she thinks?
The satellite, I think the satellite location.
A satellite location, yes. The first,
But not the
Yeah, that was
location.
the second.
the
Yeah,
only,
the addition.
yeah, and it's total for it is 681, and that is also adding some computer equipment and a copier. Furniture we wouldn't need. We have the extra furniture already stored in their building over there. There was a lot of applications, so we held on to it. We kept it in good condition. We have that ready to go. It would depend on finding location and then crunching those numbers. I estimated a figure I was given before on rents, which was about 1,800 or
And that's off what you'd had quoted on a couple properties, I
Yes,
believe, too.
but that's, I'm not sure that that building is available and what's moving with that. I know several other people have said, I've heard through the grapevine that they're looking at the building as well.
I mean, I think there's properties down there also besides that one.
Down where?
At Montgomery. I think that's where we're talking
Yeah.
about, right?
Mayor Ingram's here now. Maybe he can enlighten us.
Thank you.
Well,
I wouldn't listen.
but my question to her earlier was, is Montgomery the right location for a satellite office given where participants are coming from? And she said she's not sure it is. So now I'm asking, where.
If we could centralize more, that would also be an excellent option. Like it sounds, not great to have two centers close together. We would try to get them as far out as we could. But
I think you did, don't mean to interrupt you. I think you did say that you could probably pick up some from Kanawha County coming over to help. That you would get from Kanawha County into that location too. I think we talked about that before.
yeah.
But they haven't been returning her calls about it either.
And I didn't, I hit them hard.
They send
to begin
everybody
with.
to like Med Expresses or something over there. They use one centralized place. It's not like we do it here. Day reports.
Well, with the financial issues that Clay County's facing, possibly get more from there too.
Oh, could I say?
Yeah.
You talk about that.
Yeah.
We do have a spot. We looked at it. And I'm thinking, and I've been told something. Our growth money, the city and the county, I think together, would probably make that a doable thing.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that was on my list for the
Check
juggle.
on building, roof, well, we just put in the heating, but refurbing it and all that, we can use the county and the city's money to refurb that building for that purpose. That's all I'm saying.
I think
I'm glad you spoke up. Yeah.
what I recommend is that you go to your board with the data, because while we do want one in Montgomery, it might not be the second location. And, you know, we might need to, if you have a greater demand in another part of the county, we might need to do that first.
Yeah.
Or simultaneous, because I'm thinking of staffing, in terms of staffing and getting them staff, train people,
Exactly.
staff there. So, I mean, I really think you and your crew need to come up with some ideas and literally look at where you've been coming from for the last 2 or 3 years and figure out, you know, what your priority areas are. Maybe look at real estate in those areas too. I mean, we have opioid money, but we also have county money. So, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, what makes sense, and then
Right.
get the board to, you know, agree.
Yes, I will, speaking of my board, I love my board. They're learning me, I'm learning them, and it's been a good experience. The last couple of meetings I've been prepping, and, you know, they know we're busting at the seams, and I think they're pleased with progress and, you know, complaints, and, you know, they see what we're doing. They're involved. All those folks are actually involved with us now in one way or another. We talk to them regularly, so they know it's coming, and I will talk to them in just a couple weeks. And in the meantime, I'll get some information together for them that will help them make a better informed decision and get their input for sure.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Ruth. We have to put the budget in by March 1st. Is that, or March what? What is it?
End of March.
Okay, so 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay.
Permanent.
Can be.
It changes all.
Yeah.
It's usually those days, anyway, it's due with the 22nd, so I need to be on.
Oh, your,
Yeah, my budget.
I either put it on the 6th or the 13th. I already
Okay.
have a.
Teresa, I got one more question. The vehicle's being sold. Is it? It's where's it at again?
If it's
Stevens.
Stevens, I haven't driven it. I've called about it. I've looked at it. I mean, it's in decent condition, and it still has 68,000 miles, but to buy one of those used.
Well, if the commission would make a decision today to set aside the money for that. I can't speak for both of them, but I think so we wouldn't lose it. Could we do that today or not?
I mean, it just says discussion and decision and budget.
I think we can.
I'm not alone with it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I always look towards my right if anything the lawyer has to deal with.
No, I think we can. It's part of her budget request, her budget proposal. We have this issue all the time with deputies, cruisers, and we've even had to call emergency or special meetings to try to move on them while they're still available. So I think we should go ahead and authorize the funds for the purchase of that van today.
You will just do,
If we're inclined to do that, so she can go ahead.
and then you can test drive it or whatever you need to do to see if it's what you are looking for.
Take it down to the park and let them check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it with tax, what would that be? Because I'm sure, no, we pay tax.
We could authorize up to a certain amount for it, and then if she needs to go over that amount, she can come back.
They quoted us that the price of $1,000 less than they have it listed for, so it's listed. They've got it listed for $33,975.
Why don't we just authorize up to 35,000?
That'd be fine.
So I move that we authorize up to 35,000 to purchase a new van for the day report, or a used van for the day report center.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I call it a second chance vehicle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely engage Ruth on that, because if she can put it on a P card, she's going to try to.
Max them out.
She can get some points and kickbacks.
And I had it in my notes, but I'm a nervous wreck, so I didn't even get to it. I just wanted, originally I wanted to tell you all have been a great support, and now my board, and I really appreciate all of you all.
We appreciate you. Y'all have done an excellent job. Excellent.
It's that crew over there, and I will convey.
You
that.
recruited them and mentored them and got things together from a mess to a highly functioning machine. So don't take the credit away from yourself either.
Thank you. Mr. Good?
Yeah, no, Jerry, he's been up with me. So obviously this is my first budget with our first year here at the park, 6 months in. I knew what I was getting myself into when I took the job, and it's awesome. Love it. Appreciate you guys' support. I always know that when we're here, you guys know what this park does for our community. And you know what to ask of everybody to come down there, pitch in and be part of it. I mean, every family that comes down for a reunion time or whatever, they're not just there to use it. They always leave it, and they take pride in it. Now, don't get me wrong, you will have some little bit rowdier groups here and there, but overall, when people come to that park, that's the same park they've been coming to since I was a kid. So it means a lot to have that support in what we're doing. And also being said, like, this is the first company I've worked for that's like, I've worked for profit companies. I've worked for a company, our job is to go out and sell, like you make and this. So this is different because this is that community aspect where everybody that pays taxes in our county, this is their park. So we always are working on that. And since we've been there, we haven't been closed a single day, any holiday. Every time a holiday that shows up on a Friday, those throw Jerry and our little schedule right through a little juggernaut of like, how do we accomplish that gate? And that's what we've done. That gate is always open. That gate opens in the morning and it closes in the evening. And when people show up and that gate is closed, you can only imagine, I'm sure you've seen it before, repercussions. We haven't had that call yet. Now we've had the call sometimes where the gate might, people will be in there and you're starting to close it, like, oh, we got you, don't worry. We have a plan when people want to play disc golf longer. And that's the thing between disc golf and our reunions right now, and the groups and the weddings and all that stuff. That's what this park's for. And it's pretty neat. Now, the dynamic of phone calls and the dynamic of office staff and the dynamic of the garage and the dynamic of the earmark of the pool and the things that all these things we're looking to in the future, it's a lot going on at once. One thing I underestimated was the garage itself. And that's where Jerry and I, we have if it gets done at the park, like his hands have been on that. We have 2 other staff there and they're on it. It's just, there's no sitting around. So our budget's going to remain the same if you look at the numbers, because we're operating less people and we're operating a little bit finer. And my whole goal is to allocate some of the monies that we've used before, and we can do our performance raises talks coming up after we get through this stuff. We'll be able to use that money instead of a person that's working at the canteen. We're going to be able to use that money to bump up the wages to a comparable rate. It's hard to get a craftsman down there. Like Jerry can do mechanics and he can do woodwork, he can do everything. It's hard to get somebody down there for $15 an hour, for $12 an hour. So this will allow us to shuffle it around, and the staff that we have now kind of get everybody bumped up a little bit to something I think that they want to keep coming back every day for. I think I asked Jerry every day, like, "You coming back tomorrow?" Right? And he said yes. And because it is important, because he ran the show. Like, with being the new guy, if you don't know your spot and you don't know, he knows where every Christmas light went. He knows where every part of the truck is. When the sheriff guy shows up and needs a small little part and piece, and he tells me, I don't even know what we're talking about sometimes, but he knows where that part is. Now, the garage, same thing. Our garage staff, with Junior in there, we'll be able to get him a little bit more money, but more importantly, we're going to be able to keep the cost the same because you guys have allocated better vehicles lately. Think how much money you've invested into vehicles. So obviously the price for radiator has gone up 15%, but we should have less vehicles getting maintained. As we keep these guys driving, we keep them maintained and going. I think we'll be able to keep that budget right on track. I talked to Junior yesterday. He felt the same. Again, if you look through like where we are, I think it's like $100,000 on parts and pieces. We're at 50, almost 60,000 the other day for the year. So we're right on track where we think we're going to be. And I think it's a little bit irresponsible of me to come in and ask for a whole bunch more money when I haven't been there a year yet. And I don't even understand these seasons. Like right now I'm learning Easter season. I'm learning trout fishing season. Every season that we've done is different and we've learned from it. So I think we're going to be able to keep our budget tight and right where it's supposed to be without asking you to spend money that's not needed. Just the other day, you guys allocated money for the rec hall. That's going to be done in 8 days, mid-March. They're moving forward. We got that done. But we've been on the other roof ourselves, hanging off some ladders and doing some other things going on, because every metal roof down there, we're going to probably put some silver on it. Those reunion buildings, we're going to focus on the things that we can offer right now, which is that shelter. If you rent a shelter, we don't want it leaking. We want it looking prime. We're going to do everything. So there's some things that we need to do with the infrastructure of the park that is kind of key and it's coming up. And that's where we're gonna work. I think we could spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on that park. Like you're gonna show up and see a beautiful new playground or something new and fun. It's just the park is more efficient and it runs better. And more importantly, we know it's gonna be good the next day when you show back up. So right now we've gone back, we have a couple of projects on board, dining hall roof, all the shelter roofs, things like that, just easy, low-hanging fruit that we can accomplish. And the last, 3 days, we've been down, all the trees have fallen down this winter, we had crazy windstorms. It all was off the road and it looked good. The Department of Highways came down, they took trees, this, but it wasn't the entrance to the park that you're looking for. If you drive into the park today, it's all, we spent days of tree cutting, logging over, getting the things back out, all the stuff that was already down, just clearing up and making it look good. You know, that impression is what people, when they pull into that park, that's how they're going to remember that park. And it's going to be the same park that you guys remember and the same park that our community remembers. It used to, it's like a very tight place down there. When people would show up, they're like, oh, everything is looking so perfect. That's where we're getting back to. And it's not happening, they haven't taken care of the last few years. It's just that time when we got to work a little bit harder to keep it looking good, I think, with small parts and pieces and taking that daily maintenance and kind of keeping it going. So if you want to look at the garage budget there, Jerry, you have anything about the garage that you want to talk about? I mean, Jerry used to run the garage himself at some point, so he does know everything, but you can see the numbers we kept the same, and I think you agree with me about the money that we're going to be spending and for the parts and pieces. Now, obviously, there's a lot of variables in there of what maintenance is going to happen. You know, we had a vehicle the other day get on fire. You know, it's like we have things that happen. We have to work around it. But so far, with the team that we have down there in the garage department and working with Ruth, we just kind of roll through it. Gia takes care of when we send her. It seems like a Steve's Auto bill like every other day. But there is a lot of tires, there's a lot of parts and little pieces that go into these vehicles. And that's something I did not plan on as a park director. But it's a kind of a neat challenge and you're right in there with it. And those guys, the deputies and everybody that shows up down there, they work with you. They're not angry. They show up good and they know that you're going to do your best to get that car going. And then if you guys want to look at the park thing, you can see our numbers are right on key with last year. Again, we've got some open spots down there. We've got a good idea. I did want to roll through our winter without filling spots in. I'm really going to work away from just hiring somebody because they're available, hiring because they want to do it. We want to hire the people who I can trust. That park, we're offering, I mean, you have to be able to run a chainsaw. You have to be weed eater guy. You have to be the weekend guy who says, oh, hey, you got to be able to talk to people. So we have a very certain specific skill set that you need to work that park. You know, now some guys might be able to hide on a weed eater in the back or whatever in the past, whatever, but we're going to find the people who can talk to the guests, who can run the weed eater, and also are self-motivated. And I don't have to worry about when we leave because I can't be there 100% of the time. Jerry can't be there 100% of the time, even though it seems like we're there a lot. But it's one of those things where when we leave, I want that crew, which is what we have right now, that I feel good about. I know that's getting done. Aaron and Wade, our other crew, and Junior, like there's no question that they're working. And that's a great thing without being hands-on and chasing them around the whole time.
We've been doing something countywide for a while now where we are paying higher salaries for higher skill sets and smaller teams. You know, so we've cut some positions, but then we've done like you suggested you're going to do and put that money into a higher salary to be able to recruit and retain high quality staff. So that's something that we definitely support because when you're leaner and meaner, you're more efficient, you're able to serve the public. And, you know, typically, you know, we tend to have a lot of lower paid people, and not just because they're lower paid, but, you know, maybe only half of them are doing the work, you know, and that's what we want to get away from. We want to get your hard workers and we want to reward them with their salary and any other way we can.
And as a human, I find that a lot of us don't want to accept that we can't do it. But I have like $5 grand in there, whatever, set up for outside services for like the timber guy shows up, like with one of our contractors. We know that that's too much for us to handle a tree this big, or if it's a project. So instead of hiring a bunch of people who can work awesome for that 1 month, but then for the next few months, their skills now, this doesn't work. So as a group, I'm thinking we're looking at really hiring that group coming in for the month, doing something, and then if we have to subcontract it out, but we don't need them through the winter maybe because we're doing certain different things like that. like electrician would be awesome for 3 or 4 days of the Christmas lights, but the rest of the time, he's not needed. He can't dress up like the Grinch and do the other stuff, right? He's gonna want to do 30, you know, he's gonna make more money doing other things at that time. So we want to be more efficient with that. And it's okay, that's, I'm stubborn, so it's always hard to say, I can't do it, but we can do it with another group and get the right group to come and help you out. So, you know, I know my weakness, you know, so I think that's okay to ask them.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it does look a lot better, and Jerry, you need to stop talking so.
That's Jerry.
I don't know if you guys know Jerry or Aaron or Wade or the group down there about me. Like, that's one thing that you walk yourself into a job, and Ruth walked me down there. It's like, here it is, you know, and like, you don't know what you're getting. What I got was awesome. You know, it's like the dudes are working. I can trust them. And it's more than you workmates, your friends, you're hanging out. And that's why I've asked him to come here the last few meetings, because he's also there for the question. I might know the feel it again. I might not know the answer. Instead of making it up, I know I can look to him. And there's very few things that I don't think we can accomplish down there between plumbing, electrical, random stuff. Between these two, I think we can do it.
Well, I think y'all have done a great job.
I do too.
The appearance has improved quite a bit.
It's everything. We like the idea that we hired somebody and we don't have to come down there all the time and check on you. I mean, we know that you're going to do the job, and we don't have to worry about it.
And when the commission allots the money for the improvements, it's actually used instead of, I mean, that was one of the
Sits there.
issues. Instead of it sitting there, when the commission allots the money, you're using it to do what you're supposed to do to fix it up. That was an issue we've had for a couple of years.
I feel like I did I might have held back too much last fall because I was nervous about, I didn't know the end game of it how July seemed
Well,
a long way away. But instead of overspending and come back to apologize later, we kind of ran tight. But now we can move forward with that money that's there and use the budget money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank both of you. Thank the staff and everything.
Find some new things to decorate.
Okay, it's a little early. I think.
Why don't we take a quick
You
break?
want to take a break? Okay. You want to take a quick break? Take a quick break.
Trial.
All right, call the meeting back to order. You want to come up, ma'am?
My name is Frances Sizemore. I'm here on behalf of the County Emergency Food Assistance Center. My husband, Terry Sizemore, is the Assistant Director of the center. I'm what they call their nobody. I'm not classified as a volunteer, but I take care of their ordering of food and trying to help see that the pantry has what it needs. I go out and ask for donations for them and different things. I get very emotional about the food pantry. It's my husband's passion. He feels he's doing the work of God, feeding people. So, but the money that the commission gave, God supplied our needs in advance of what we even knew we were going to need. When that money came to us, we had 2 coolers, 3-door coolers, and both were in need of repair. One couldn't be. With that money, we were able to purchase used ones. We couldn't get new ones, but we got 2 new used 3-door coolers. We were in need of some freezers that we had to get electrical work done in order to get the freezers that we needed, because right now we depend on regular household freezers. We needed something bigger because the number of families that come through, Terry said on their registry now is 1,500 families. They don't feed that many every week, but they do have an abundance that come through. They were getting so many people every time the pantry was open. The line of traffic was creating problems. So working with the town and trying to alleviate the dangers, they've had to split the days that people can come instead of them coming twice a week. We've had to divide the alphabet, and so many come on Monday and so many come on Friday. So now we try to give out more food on those days because the people are only able to come one day a week instead of two. But the money also, I have brought in paperwork for y'all to show you. We have used part of the money for food. We purchased, as a matter of fact, our electrical work was finished yesterday by Card Electric, and their bill is in the paperwork I brought y'all. Our new freezers are being delivered today when the pantry closes. And so I have another one, but I only have one copy of it. If I can find it here. We had this is the bill from yesterday. Terry checked the tires on our box truck and they had to be replaced. So Terry picked the truck up yesterday, and that was also came out of the money that y'all allotted us. And we had to have some body work done to the truck. We took it to a place in Beckley, and they wanted to replace the whole box unit on the back of our truck to alleviate our floor was rotting. We couldn't afford that. Our truck is, fairly old, and that truck was a gift given to purchase for us by someone several years ago. So anyway, we did find that's one of the other bills there from Lowe's, and for truck, we found a guy who was able to go in and replace the floor in our truck and get that back working for us. And like I said, we purchased food and just the regular operation of our pantry for a month. And we have to, we're paying power bills. Once our 2 freezers are brought in today, we're hoping to be able to unplug some of our little freezers, which we run 19 freezers every day because the freezers were so small. So our power bill was extremely high. We're hoping that that's all gonna come down some now. And we just wanted to say thank you. And also, as soon as we got we ordered the 2 new coolers, and they were delivered 2 days, I think it was, after they delivered the 2 coolers, our furnace went out. So part of your money went to replace the heating and system in our building. So like I said, God supplies ahead of what we need. I just wanted to say thank you, guys.
Thank you too, man.
Appreciate it.
For what you do. Thank you. Terry Bowes, your whole crew. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yes, and
This is the time of year we're gonna give money out to. I mean, I think we ought to consider a subsequent donation given, this is what we love to see, to come back in and say, this is where the money went. And
we don't get that very often.
no,
we don't get that fact. It was very nice to see.
Going to the mall.
It was very, very nice to see an itemized list, exactly where the money went, what was used for. It was excellent.
I told the treasurer, the lady who does our bookkeeping, I said, I have to have a list. I said, I need to show them where every dime we've spent so far. You can see when we first got the money, the first thing we did was, we were buying food, and then we had all these things, and, we had that money to fall back on, and we were so thankful because in the long run, we will be more efficient and more able to serve the community with the better freezers, the better coolers, and the different things and then we have to keep our vehicles up and running. So
do you have any figures on what the better freezers would cost?
Yes,
to purchase new ones, was that in there?
The 2 that we purchased already with your money was $4,200.
And those were used.
Those were used. Yes, ma'am. I looked at new coolers. When our refrigerators went down, we had a 3-door cooler and a 4-door cooler, and both of them were having operational problems.
And when we called in a repairman, our big cooler could not be repaired, he said. So we were down to our two smaller ones. And so I went online and started looking, and for the size coolers we had, it was $6,000 to $8,000 for a new one. Well, we couldn't afford to purchase 2 new coolers at that price, and then either have to go somewhere to pick them up, have to rent a truck and do it, because most of our volunteers are my age. And, you know, so I called Steve Meadows and asked Steve if he could give me a hint on where to go. And he gave me the name of 2 companies. One's in Charleston, and that's the company I've been dealing with. And they had just redone some Dollar General stores and had taken out the coolers and the freezers. And they also service them. So they keep them, they service them, they make sure they're working and running. And we were able to purchase the 2 coolers from them. I forget how much they were. They're on your list. I think they were $3,000. And then I called him back. And when I first called him, he didn't have what he thought we needed. And then he called me back, and he'd gotten these freezers in that we purchased that were $4,200 used. But I had to get the electrical done because they were 220 and our building didn't have that. So we had to have breakers and wire, and boys came yesterday and finished up all of that for us. So those 2 freezers will be delivered today, and used, they were $4,200. So looking, and I asked him about new ones. It's called HOETON, I believe is how it's spelled, Equipment in Charleston. And he said I was looking at least double the price and probably a little bit more if we had gotten new freezers.
Is a unit good itself, but the box is bad, or is the unit good? Tell me that. I've purchased them used. I've revamped them and everything else. I'm just curious. What was the problem with the freezer?
One that we had to get rid of. One we still have, and we're waiting on the guy to come back and repair it. It's freezing in the top, so they say there's probably a Freon leak. So he's waiting to come back, and we're still using that. But our big one was it was probably 30 years old. It was actually wired into the wiring in the wall. It had the motor and generator that sat beside it.
So the box is still good. There's not a problem with the box, it's a problem with the unit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order to, and he said if he could get the parts to have fixed that one, it would have been as expensive as trying to buy a new one, because that unit was so old.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes.
So whenever we had our first 2 coolers delivered, they just went ahead and took that one out for us, because they have a company that comes in and recycles them because of the Freon in them. So they just took that one back to Charleston with them to go into the recycle down there when they delivered the 2.
Have you called some of these places that have used equipment? And I'm gonna tell you the reason I asked is I got a big freezer in the back, and I paid $1,500 for the freezer and the unit and everything. And it's probably 18 by 12 and $1,500. I've used it for the last 4 years, and it's not caused me any problem until last week. Had a guy come and fix it. It cost me $200. So I mean, recycle equipment in Charlotte, I believe it's in Charlotte, recycle equipment. They have units all the time. They get them from when there's a flood or anything else, and insurance pays it. Really nothing wrong with it, but they have to replace it, and they take them and then resell.
We did not know about,
yeah,
a place
Write
like
it down
that.
for you.
Do you have any other tidbits for it? Because you guys are sort of in the same business.
No, but that's where I go online all the time to look at equipment, and that's where I get most of my used equipment, and I've not had any problem.
Okay.
I bought a few pieces of equipment. There's a place in Ohio too called HB Supplies, I believe. And I have to look it up, but I'll try to get it exactly, but I think it's HB Supplies. All kinds of used equipment. In fact, they got a big probably half room where you can get a gas oven that you can cook bread. I've looked at that, $3,500 for that out of Kroger's. You have to pick it up yourself and stuff like that, so.
Well, basically, I was here to thank you guys and to give you a rundown of where we have been spending the money. And the food pantries count goes up every day. Every day we're open, we're signing up new families. We're getting a lot of families now who are younger, who work. They just can't make ends meet at the end of the month. So, you know, it's not a thing that's at a standstill. As a matter of fact, over the last year and a half, you know, we've had a tremendous increase in the amount of people that are coming to our pantry. And of course, we support that county. Anyone inside the county is not turned away. And even if they come from out of the county, they give them something before they leave and refer them to somewhere in their county. So, but we just wanted to say thank you.
We'll say thank you too, ma'am.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I want to make more funds to the food pantry. I'm gonna move it, what?
Was that during our budget, or do you want to do it
I
now?
think we look at it during the budget and
We
determine
can.
what we have then.
But in the budget, I mean, we can.
Ruth,
I ain't do it either way.
Well, because I was thinking of ARPA, I mean, like, for those decisions, like these are like our external money. I was thinking the budget was more for our internal.
okay, what do you want
I was gonna
Have a
recommend
suggestion.
50,000. And we could use it from ARPA or the general fund.
My second. All in favor?
Okay, so do more good.
Thank you.
Get
Thank
that to
you,
you as
ma'am.
soon as possible. And I think you're their everybody, not their nobody.
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, make sure you tell everybody that's tears of joy, not.
Yeah.
Tell them the commission made you cry now. We're already in trouble.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bless you, man.
All right, well, 10:30 is not here. They actually put the wrong, they listed it wrong. So we got 10 till 10:45, but are they here? No, she's
Are
not
they
here.
coming at all? Or
Yeah, Jenna's coming.
no, I'm talking about
No,
10:30.
they're not coming. I
10:30 was
talked,
striking it.
yeah, straight. I talked to him yesterday.
Have they, just what we're talking about, have they used the CDGB demo grant that's designed for commercial structures and municipalities that Region 4 has?
Have they used it?
Have they applied for those?
I don't know. We can ask her. I don't think so. No, we're just getting
Mount
going.
Hope.
Oh, Mount Hope.
Yeah,
John, I'm sorry. I don't know.
okay. So
What is that
but that's
for?
That's an option that they have.
The dilapidated building assistance?
One that somebody said they applied for, it might have been turned down for it. Is that what Leslie Taylor, somebody in an email?
I don't know. I know this was actually supposed to be about trails. It wasn't, yeah, shit, yeah.
Well, that is right. What did he put on his?
No, I know. That's
Uh,
when I called. Yeah, the lady put it on for him. So it's, John, to be honest with you, this wasn't even supposed to be on her like this, or he would be
Oh,
here.
okay.
That's why
Yeah, but I knew that grant was available, so.
So you want to see if the sheriff can come do his presentation?
that's fine. If y'all want to see.
But make sure you tell him he still has 15 minutes.
to.
Doesn't have.
He's busy with 5. Take it 5. I don't think it's Anthony's 5.
Not an Anthony 5.
Not an Anthony 5. But I don't think that.
Everyone knows how Mike.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, can you gonna be running now?
You know, I used to, when we all three got up there, I used to say it's the Three Stooges, but it's not.
Hmm?
We're not the Three Stooges. I used to say we're the Three Stooges, but we're not.
So excited. You bet your purse.
Kept an eye on it. Kept an eye on it. Yeah, Yeah, they really do. I mean,
And they do,
the fact that they all, you can tell they're saving money. They didn't say, oh, we have 25 grand, let's go ahead and buy some new freezers.
yeah,
No, they bought used ones and.
let me tell you,
cobbled it
they
together.
care.
Yeah, they do. And
They-
you
they
can tell
care.
that because there's people out there working and cars are lined up when I go
Right,
through.
and they're bummed that they don't have enough, didn't have enough to buy as much food as they would have, because they had to put it into the storage for the food.
Yeah, so like the infrastructure stuff.
Yeah, that, hopefully that'll help them some more, and I hope they come back in October.
Yeah.
'Cause that's an easy one. That's a countywide benefit that.
Oh, I think you're right. I'm just used to doing the decisions and then we'll put the budget together, but that, I don't have a
Well, that
problem with
wasn't part of the budget presentations. That's where we're getting mixed up.
that. It might be, yeah.
Because today just happens to be the February date for budget requests.
Okay,
That's that budget.
I apologize. Yeah,
That's too.
I forgot about that. Okay, yeah,
That's a,
yeah. Cause all these budget presentations, I just took it as a budget presentation.
yeah, it wasn't a.
Yeah,
budget.
yeah, it wasn't, no, you know.
Funding.
All right, Sheriff Ridley.
Morning.
Thank you for accommodating. us.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all for accommodating me. I'm tired. It's a long night. Good morning. Thanks for y'all swearing in two new deputies today. Let y'all know too, before I start on the budget, I'm full staff now. That hasn't happened in a long time. So
Congratulations.
that's good stuff. All right. I know the commission likes to hear money brought in and stuff. This is probably gonna be the shortest budget I ever give. I told you so. So money wise in all my different accounts, Silk Weapons, I brought in $23,140 from 2023 to December 31st of 2023. But of the 23,140, 11,200 went to the West Virginia State Police. It's just right here. So 11,940 goes back to the state police because they get their cut. The sheriff's asset forfeiture account, I brought in $11,690. The federal asset forfeiture, zilch. None came in through federal prosecution. Spending wise, not that I'm budgeted. Out of Silk Weapons, $24,085.25. 11,200 of that went to the state police for CCWs, and you can look down through there. Some stuff for the Detective Bureau, sending materials and supplies for the ID maker, P-card reimbursements for taking deputies to train in Tennessee. It was Sergeant Gibson, Corporal Cyphers, and Deputy First Class Lanier. Cell phone cases, because we got new cell phones, saved the county some money on that, but I bought them cases to keep them safe. $6,600 for a copier over in the tax office. $550 I had to pay for a pre-hire psychological for Deputy Ferris, who's on the road. $150 to labor for a new door to residents that we kicked in on a health and welfare check and she wasn't happy. Fixed that. Another $451 by state code for material supplies for ID maker, and then some shirts for the deputies for Browning class. Asset forfeiture, I spent $810.14. It was reimbursement, sending some deputies to Georgia, Corporal Tomlin and Corporal Pridemore to Georgia. $75 sponsorship. I do a sponsorship every year for Harley Tincher for the Sheriff's Academy. It was held in Glenville this year. And then $200 to send a detective pack for class. Federal asset forfeiture is $12,509. $5,000 of that had to go back to the city of Oak Hill for the purchase of the vehicle. At the beginning of the year, the drug task force purchased the vehicle and they said, oh, that's illegal, can't do it for federal money. I don't understand it. But Oak Hill is the holder of the key for the federal monies. That's where money comes from. So that went back to them. $7,199 P card reimbursement for various classes for Deputy Sergeant or Lieutenant Willis now, Corporal Pridemore, Chief Deputy Morris, McMillian, Tomlin, Carlson, Pearson, and Goodson. They all went to different classes. I went to one. It was free for me because I hosted it. It was leadership principles through University of Charleston. We got in-service credit. And then $310 for training for Fernandez. So total paid out was $37,404.39, which wasn't in my budget that I used money to train our deputies to keep them up to par. Other money brought in, service of process. county administrator and I talked about this. I never really thought about it until she brought it to my attention, because even though that out of the 13 deputies paid on the general budget, 2 of them were paid through civil process. And by state code, every paper that we serve that we get reimbursed for services through the courts was $25,543 that was put back into the general budget. So that's good. Repayment from county to the county for HIDA, that's for 1 deputy at the time. Their overtime was $4,800.19. The Cuff Task Force, which is Captain Mooney's on, was $6,442.47. And then again, I got to give it to Ruth and to you as county commissioners. It's in code. Deputies are able to work outside employment with agreements. And the county, it doesn't cost the county a penny for them to do this. Matter of fact, I think you make a few dollars for the using, you know, vehicles and stuff like that. AAP reimbursed us last year $216,540. And the reason Ruth and I talked about this, and y'all will understand this, it boosts their retirement. And that's great. And, you know, and it's in code, they can do this as long as it don't take away from the citizens, and it never does. So budget wise, well, before I go to budget, I print out and gave you the total incidents. I do this, I give it to y'all anyway, but I just want to be part of the document. 8,156 calls for service is what we answered through the 911 center. And it breaks down, it's this paper here. It breaks down what type of call, visit day, least business day, business hour of average, and least business hour of average. So you can see. And then here, this breaks down all the law enforcement agencies in the county, how they do. Now, I will point out with the sheriff's department, of our 8,156, that's not counting traffic stops. We do not count them. That's actual calls for service within the county. So that's where y'all's looking. Now, getting into the budget. Pretty simple. On my budget, we're doing pretty decent, by Ms. Ruth telling me, with our overtime, with our material supplies. I'm not asking for anything more in my budget except a couple of things. All the other line items are fine. I'm asking $5,000 more in the uniform allowance that will show on my budget request, because uniforms have went up and really went up. I couldn't believe I about stroked out when I took these 2 new deputies to get some uniforms. It was unbelievable how much stuff's went up. So I'm asking for $5,000 in that. Also, again, I ask this every year, even though we find pay increases went up, overtime increase, I'm asking for $5,000 more in the general budget and $10,000 towards the levy budget. And last but not least, well, not last but not least, I'm asking for a pay raise for every employee within my department. I have 49. I'm asking for $1,280 pay raise per year, which equals 106.67 or $106.67 per month for every employee. And that would bring the starting salary for deputy sheriffs up to $47,000. And I know that Commissioner Taylor asked me a couple of times, and I dropped the ball, I'll be honest, and then we talked about it, but I just want to make sure that, remember Miss Amy Nybert, when doing your budget, I really like to have her brought up to at least the starting salary of the deputy sheriff.
Did you put that in here, Mike?
The way my formulas does, and then let you know, we found out, Ruth called me on the 13th, I think, and sent me an email. The county is now and it's fixed on y'all, but I didn't fix hers, Tom, to answer your question.
Okay.
It's going from 16% that the county has to pay for deputy sheriff's retirement up to 17%. And that's an extra about $20,000, $21,000 a year. That's if they got the pay raises that I asked for. Now it'd be a little bit lower if not. That's that. The additional budgets, this is stuff that we have to have, the body armor, of course, and y'all, my material supplies, y'all gave me 85 last year. If we get 85 again this year, I think the new sheriff coming in town, I think it'd be enough for him to be able to run his material supplies with. Because this doesn't affect me. I'll be out of the office Well, no, it won't be July. I'll be here for 6 months. I'm getting ahead of myself, trying to leave early. The K-9 budget, I talked to Chief Deputy about that. The 8,000 we've been giving them is great. Now I will let you know that I'm looking at to purchase another K-9. And I'm going to use asset forfeiture money, concealed weapons and stuff like that for that. The firearm training, you know, we don't have a range, steel belt minimum. It's about $30,000. Body cams, of course, got to have them. But like I said, I wrote a big note, keep it 85. If we can do that, awesome. In the back page of that, everything's right except the retirement. I mean, retirement, because the deputy sheriffs went from 16 to 17%. And I didn't change that. I got busy. But if it was at 16%, you could see projected costs out of levy would have been $36,402.56 more. And out of general accounting, unfortunately, leaving the cost to general accounting, I think it was $39,896.52. If you look at these, and I know I like to look at them, but the first one, you see all employees 106.7. That's 1,280 a year, and that gives you the breakdown. And that is changed with the 17% 1 year.
Okay.
And then the second one is what I have to do, that we got to have the minimal to run office because the deputies get their longevity pay. That's it. Quick and easy. And again, this is my last budget presentation. I'm hoping and praying that we keep doing, because y'all, and I've told people, y'all really work with me. I know we butt heads on some things, but y'all have reasons and I have reasons. My job is to take care of my men and women, and we take care of the citizens in this county, and we're doing that. I'm full staff. Our pay's getting up there. We still don't go with others, but it's getting better, and I do appreciate all three of you. So please take into consideration, give them a pay raise. And I gave our county administrator another one, and I'm not presenting that. That's for her to look at, and y'all think about that at a later date or whatever. So I appreciate you. Do you have any questions for me?
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One, how many cars, do you need to replace right now that we haven't replaced yet?
Great question. I talked to Commissioner Louises about this the other day at the parking lot. Right now, it's funny the way things happen. When y'all approved the last 3 cruisers, we've been waiting from the dealerships for the 3 that was broke down. They all got fixed. I was like, what? Right now, for this coming budget year, I don't want to overstep. I think we have, I can't remember how many more left. We got 4 still to be being outfitted. 4, 6, 7. I can't even keep up, Allison, to be honest with you, man. We just got another one back the other day, a brand new one. They working on 2 more that they said we should have by the end of next week to be put on the road. And I think that leaves us 3 down there after that. That's got to be outfitted. I will say to the commission, and I said it before, I have a car that caught on fire the other day. As y'all know, I would like, if the commission would allow, I have an old truck that I paid to the city of Fayetteville for. 2 dealerships offered me some money for it. It's really not worth much. I like to take that money that we would get back for insurance of the loss, because it's a total loss, and that truck, and trade it in, and maybe be able to get a nice used SUV to give to the Detective Bureau for Sergeant Pack, because his car's, I don't even know how many miles is on that, but it's up there. And then I could use that vehicle for our bailiffs who drive back and forth or have to take one of the judges and make it be an unmarked. That's all I'm looking at.
And it's replacing the unmarked anyway.
Yes, and matter of fact, it's just like the one I have. It had a little bit more miles than mine. Mine's like 75,000 right now. The chief deputy's got the number together. He was getting them to give to the park. I'm sorry it wasn't in y'all's budget. We just been the murder trial and everything going on. But Allison, asked you a question. I think once we get off, I don't want to jinx this because every time I do, something happens. But car-wise for road deputies, I think we're going to be all right. I mean that.
If we can get to where we
Write
start.
that down.
So if we can get to where, so we're trying to get to where we're budgeting to replace an X number a year.
Yes,
so so starting next year, how many should we start replacing?
And I think looking at that and talking to the chief deputy, if we could do 3 to 4 vehicles and be guaranteed that every year, I think that would be great. And I think that would keep the county where they need to go. Now, of course, one catches on fire, a couple deer run out in front of them, or
Right.
and the bad thing is all these troubles that we've been having out with these vehicles. Remember the 10 that we leased and then y'all bought out, which is, you know, good. 2020s, they'd all the ones that have been breaking down. Don't want to jinx us, you know, don't want to do that. And again, I'm full staff and we haven't been full staffed. And we was able to take this one and give to that one and this one to give to this one and that. We can't do that no more, but we are going to have, I think he said, after we get these new cars, we will have 2 to 3, I think 3 good spares. So,
Well, this commission,
Like these are SUVs.
yes, everything that be on the road is the Ford SUVs or the chief deputy's Tahoe. Other than that, all the Taurus is just going to be spares, or one of our young deputies who are with their FTOs and don't do nothing but drive home and to work and get with their FTOs or driving one. But like Lieutenant McMullen, who retired and runs for sheriff, his car, it's an older one, but he was at school. It has 80,000 miles on it. So the chief asked to park and they did. Took all the canine stuff out of it. Talked to Ruth. I'm going to have it detailed, because dog hair and everything, and it'd be a good spare to be put on the road if needed.
well, this commission, I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier. This commission is actually, in the last 3 or 4 years, has replaced vehicles like no other commission has. We have.
And
I think it started about 6 years ago.
yeah, we got 6, we did, and then it went cold for a little bit, but yes, you correct, Commissioner. Y'all worked and I came in the middle and I go to Ruth and said, come on, Ruth, I found 3 more cars, and y'all have special meetings and we've been able to get ahead. The problem is they sit down for so long and I don't care where you go. But I raised a whole bunch of cane with this gentleman and he apologized, and we've gotten 2 out and get 2 more. So pretty good. I'm not gonna put junk in our cruisers. Not gonna do it. Pay for better stuff and last longer for that aspect of for our weapons and prison transport safety and stuff for our officers.
Well, you probably heard that we had talked to the county administrator about trying to transition your deputies off of the levy. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Ms. Taylor, I would jump for joy if that ever happened, ma'am, because I think that because that's one of the hardest things I got to, these 2 young ones, I give them a pre-employment saying, hey, we hiring you, but I said, listen to me say this to you, the second paragraph, it's all about the budget. And we have 23 deputy sheriffs, which blows me away when it was lower. You know, I'm not going to, well, I'm going to say,
well, I'm going to ask you, Mike, anyway, what year did that happen?
Commissioner Louisa, I don't know, but okay. I know when I started way back when, I think it was at 9 and it moved up to 11 and it moved up to 13 and it kept on going up. Did this commission do it? I look all 3 of you. The commissioner prior, no, it didn't. So it's been done a while. I know in 1997, there was monies left over and Larry Dotson was our sheriff and she gave a raise and there was some money left in the budget and they said, oh gosh, we got all this extra money. Colts Everett's nice back then too, you know, 1.2 million, 1.4 million coming in. And they gave another pay raise off of that. And then they said, okay, well, that's when the numbers started going up of how many deputies do it. And I look at you and tell you, if you can do that, these young men and women that come in and put their life in danger for you and I and the citizens, that's big, you know, real big. But we know the cost. If you look at that right now for them 23 young deputies, because they're not all of them the lowest ones, but you know, I say young, they 6-year tenure to do stuff. It's like $1.8 million just with this raises. And that's with benefits and everything, you know, PIA, wow, going out the window. We still don't know the numbers. I asked Ruth, I said, are these actually probably not Mike, but we're close to they gave us. And then she throws another bone at me and says, oh, it's going up to 17%. And I'm calling all the other shifts. They do what, you know? And I appreciate y'all because y'all work with me. And again, this is my last budget. We took care of the upper rank. The start salaries went up. can go up more, not gonna lie. I think it should. Then we looked at taking care of the middle level. And we made another rank, you know, the deputy sheriff first 5 years, now it's in 2 years. And then we made Corporal make him 4 years. And I'll tell you, the morale, that makes them feel good over there. It really does. And I can see a difference.
Good. I'm glad it worked. Of course, my last question is controversial, but
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Luisos is proposing changing the weighting of the levy to take, nobody has decided what amount. His proposal is to split what fire and law enforcement get evenly. Because in his analysis, the law enforcement's been running a deficit. And then of course we are purchasing cars and stuff out of, and because we're not allowed to do that kind of stuff out of the levy. So a couple of the proposals were change the levy language to allow us to buy equipment out of levy funds if we don't have it in the county budget, because you guys shouldn't have to wait to replace old cars that aren't working. And the other is, you know, do you have any comments on changing the weight to give law enforcement access to more funds?
You know, this has been a talk of the town for years. It's a big talk of the town now. I know what, I mean, I see things and, you know, one of my biggest goals were to have a range, and we still don't have a range. So,
right. Yeah, we're changing the language.
We set on $65,000 for that. We can't find property for that. You know, the pay, that's another issue. And equipment. I mean, I think this commission can do a lot of different things. You know, it's not my decision to make on this. But one blows me away that y'all want to take and put more in the general budget. That's amazing. And I don't know how many you're going to do. I don't know.
Well, as many as we can is the answer. As many as we can every year.
You know, and people seem to forget, and I know you three don't, and I know Ruth don't. The sheriff is not just a sheriff; he's the treasurer of the county. And I'm one of them sheriffs that go over every day and see what's coming in and going out. I know what's in the accounts. I know what, and that's kudos to you three sitting here, because I know what the carryover has been the last couple of years in this county. And I know what it used to be in this county. I know what the levies carries over. We blessed this year because one, I was so short, or we probably wouldn't have made it. So again, I mean, y'all have hard decisions. I just, you know, I don't want to be in y'all seats, but you got to do what's best for the county, and I know that will be done.
But it sounds like you have had unmet needs.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And
yes, ma'am.
that includes because that's the other thing. I mean, it was, in my view, we should have it say not just salaries and benefits, which I don't think should be on the levy in the future. I think that should be on our budget. But the things that should be on the levy are buildings like a range or equipment or like cruisers or vests or that sort of thing that we can't cover, you know, yes, just to make sure you have.
I would tell this commissioner this too. If you ever got time, you know, and I'm MBO and I'm happy for them, you know, Oak Hill Police Department, for example, they're building. I know the sheriff, whoever sheriff's sitting here, has to be in the courthouse. It'd be nice to have a nice building. You go over to Raleigh County, I don't know where they get all their money. I know there's like, by Georgie, you walk into Beckley PD's and it's like, wow. And then the sheriff of Raleigh County, Sheriff Kennedy, invited me over and I was dealing with some conservatorship stuff. And I was like, man, wouldn't this be nice, you know?
And then they're going to have a new detachment, aren't they? They got something else coming.
I mean, they got it going on over there. So again, you know, my job is to fight for my men and women. I'm going to do anything and everything I can to take care of them until I walk out this office. And I'm hoping, and I know whomever wins, I wish them the best luck, and I leave them in better shape than what it was when I walked in the door. And that's what I'm going to try to do.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you answering for me.
And I appreciate y'all getting me in early because Michael Fridley is tired.
Mike, I hope your daughter does better.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate everybody's prayers, and if anybody listen, I appreciate that too. It's been a rough couple of days for us, so thank y'all.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
He's going to start now.
All right. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Come on up. The reason it's 11 o'clock. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna start off with a little bit of, what the shelter has been doing. So as you guys know, of course, we had a little bit of a rough start. So we really got started in August. I do have to say, Kevin definitely got us to the point that where we needed to be. So since August 9th of 2023, we have saved over 200 dogs and cats through rescue and adoption. We currently have rescue partners that are working with us on our dogs and cats as we are trying to not to keep our dogs long term. Because, mentally our dogs can't afford that. We have started out a program for the county such as Dog Day Out. So members of the public can come pick out a dog of their choice for the day, take them out, get a pup cup, take them home to the pet store. And this program has been extremely successful. We've had almost 100 participants do this program with us. We also started a volunteer committee to help us with rescue transports and upcoming events. And we are, constantly trying new ways to get our community involved with the shelter. December was the first month that I was actually director. And we started an angel tree, and we also did donations for dogs. We got a great response in that from the community, from outside of the county, and even outside of West Virginia. We were able to get over 500 people to donate on that program.
Can I mention that for just 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, it was Tractor Supply in Oak Hill who did a wonderful job getting this set up. It was called a Dogmas tree. And they had a Christmas tree with photos of the animals on it. And you could donate dog food and everything. I mean, it was just a phenomenal program, and they raised money quickly. And so that was kudos to both you and the board and to Tractor Supply for doing such a great job.
Absolutely. So the last fiscal year, we spent $287,000, sorry, let me restart that. $287,000, $832.66. Sorry guys, I am a nervous wreck today.
I can tell when you come in, it's fine.
Yeah, I've never done this before, so this is, different. So what we are expecting to spend in 24-25 is $253,000, $832.76. If you see a difference in the vet bills, the reason is because previous management did not stay up on those vet bills. So we are expected to lower those vet bills this time.
Do you guys have a chip reader?
Yes, we do.
Okay, because you know what I'm referring to,
Yes,
that incident. Yeah. So do you have a policy to make sure that the animals are?
Well, ever since that incident, we are scanning everything.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I mean, I know things happen and fall through, but just wanted to make sure if you didn't have one, that we make sure you get one, and that you have a process in place, because I know that was traumatic for them and for the foster mom who wanted to. So.
It was, but we did get it worked out, and it worked out great.
Well, she had a very Merry Christmas, I'll tell you, because I heard from her mother. So great, good. All right.
I attend the shelter meetings, and they're really working on a lot of different things. The MOU, they're working on it. We'll probably be coming to the commission with the MOU very soon. There's some things that will be changed, and there's explanations on why it will be changed. But it's all coming together, and the board's working good together too, which is really nice, as long as everybody gets informed at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys started out roughly, but I definitely like to see you at some point start having more organized fundraisers. I know Andy's tried to throw a couple together and then people don't get the word out and then they're not showing up and then everybody complains. So you've got people whose hearts are in the right place, you know, just really have to organize a little better. And because, you know, we've been funding more of the expenses than we typically would. Than we historically have. Because it's important to us to get a good group in there running the place. And we had some major hiccups, and those had nothing to do with the current administration or board, but now that we're getting past those, you know, I think we're going to be looking to everybody involved to wean itself off of its dependence on the county for expenses outside of the salaries that we normally tend to reimburse.
Well, I know that the donations they had, I think last month, if they can continue that, I mean, that was really impressive what they did.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the donations too.
I mean, I think it wouldn't.
And I've seen a lot more, like I read the news every day and everything. So I've seen a lot more that you're doing, and I'll send Kevin like, this is awesome, you know, when I see some of the things, but I know that you guys can get, you know, having a fur ball and that sort of thing, those raise money and and other sorts of events that tend to bring in the bigger bucks. You know, and you can always let me know. I mean, I'd help volunteer to set something like that up.
Okay,
too.
great.
Even if I can't attend your meetings, you can reach out to me. He knows how to reach me.
And I'm gonna make a suggestion. I think I talked to Ruth about it the other day about the spade and neuter. It didn't get presented at the right time it wasn't put together before the deadline. And I don't know whose fault it actually was, but it's near here or there. But I was gonna add into this that to commission to think about doing some spayed or neutered, some funding for spayed and neutered for people to bring their pets in and stuff. Just want you to consider that with this budget.
Well, I like that idea, but in addition to that, I don't know where I read it. It was one of the area shelters had done some programming about feral cats. And I wouldn't mind seeing us, because that's been, you know, the big issue that we hear about, of course, is the feral cat problem. And my understanding from the people who preceded you guys was that the spay, neuter, and release is the best way to deal with that. If that's still your all's take on it, you know, if you came up, because I think there are organizations that'll come in and kind of do a mass thing. If you have an event, they'll come in and take care of business. That's something I am willing to propose that we, you know, provide some funding for.
That would be great. You know, thing to help, you know, our community is what we really are, you know, focused on.
So if you and the board come up with ideas for, you know, one time, you know, not always one time in the case of spay and neutering, but for programs that you want to start executing and what that costs, you know, some of this, you know, just has a greater public interest and I think could qualify for funding what we provide regularly. So, you know, something like that, you know, would mean something to me. Also, if you guys decided you wanted to start, I don't know, I mean, it might be too expensive, but shipping animals opt out or things like that, you know, just, you know, make some proposals to us and let us know what you think will work and what you think, you know, might help with certain problems that you're seeing at that level.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, that it?
They've also done a lot of adoption events recently. Did one at Tractor Supply in Beckley, and then there was a location in Oak Hill.
Starlight Drive-In.
Thank you. Yeah, the drive-in theater.
So good. Well, I'm impressed. I mean, we've seen a huge difference in the past 6 months or so.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the board members I recruited in the audience coming in and working so hard on this. So also, one thing I do want to point out while everybody's here, though, is I understand that, you know, Fallon's a important member of the board probably right now, but technically you don't want your director to be a board member. You're going to want to have your board operating, you know, just like any board of directors. So I encourage you guys to kind of get away from that to the extent you can. And get enough of a compliment in there. And if you need me to try to recruit more people, I will. But, but I think, that's something that you want to do. You don't want to have your employees of the shelter, your director of the shelter as board members, because that's your board of directors. They're to advise you and to be an objective set of, decision makers. They usually let the CEO, the person in charge, run everything.
Right.
And usually you go to them and they'll support what you need and, that sort of thing. But because they are the ones who control who is in your job, you should not be among them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do encourage you guys to try to get that worked out.
Well, I appreciate it very much.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Well, you did a good job, Fallon.
Thank you. You guys.
Thanks, Fallon.
I might start writing down before. I'm gonna start writing down notes way before.
Is she coming?
She's here. Yeah, Jen's on here.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm here. Sorry, we were having some internet issues here.
That's okay. That's why I went ahead and took them before.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We should be good to go now.
Not a big deal. Okay, Jen is here to give a presentation on a budget presentation for the LRA.
Is it possible for me to share my screen, Amy?
Wilbert's on the.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, you should be able to share now. Your co-host.
Okay, great. I'm just going to pull up a sort of priority list here to give an overview prior to the budget request, just so you can sort of get an idea the priorities that we have as an organization in working with our land reuse agencies. So we feel that the land reuse agencies are obviously a crucial component to a lot of the work that we're doing in small town redevelopment. And we've sort of identified the 3 highest priorities as an organization working with those land reuse agencies. And at this point, our only land reuse agency on a county level is obviously Fayette County. 3 of those priority areas sort of are what you're seeing here on the screen, which is streamlining the tax sale processes. Just for a piece of information for those that aren't familiar with the process, land reuse agencies and land banks are the only organization that have first right of refusal at a tax sale, meaning when properties go up to for bid at a tax sale, prior to that bid, land reuse agencies can come in and ask for those properties outright without having to bid on them. The challenge is the process is no shorter for them to be able to acquire the properties. So while we have the first right to access those as a land reuse agency, it still takes us just as long to take ownership of those properties to get them cleaned up or redeveloped. So we're really working through the land reuse agencies in an effort to streamline that process at the state auditor's office. I know that over the last week, both Angela and myself and Tom have had some outreach from the state auditor's office to talk through what this should look like for land reuse agencies to be able to acquire these properties. So it's very apparent that Fayette County is getting a lot of recognition for stepping up and starting a land reuse agency as the first in the county. The second is really focusing on the incentivizing downtown redevelopment. We know that a lot of the properties that we're going to identify are going to need to be either torn down or potentially reused. And we really feel like there needs to be additional funding at a state level to be able to support our counties and municipalities that have land reuse agencies to redevelop those spaces. So to clean them up and to make them better and usable assets. I know there's a lot of conversation in Fayette County right now around the national park and the properties that they're looking at to potentially demolish, but we do feel that properties like that have so much potential. And we want to make sure that this at a state level, the legislature recognizes that the counties and municipalities are really taking an effort to take ownership of these properties. And we need incentivized and funding to incentivize the redevelopment of those. Then the third priority for economic developers working with land reuse agencies is funding of recreation infrastructure. We know that a lot of the areas that can be cleaned up and taken ownership of and cleaned up can really serve, excuse me, as gateways to a lot of our recreation assets. So how are we ensuring that we have funding for recreation infrastructure and long-term maintenance of these assets? If the municipalities and the counties with their land reuse agencies can work together to take ownership of these and get them cleaned up, then we feel that they should be looked at for potential recreation infrastructure development as well. So those are really our three priorities as an economic development authority working with the land reuse agency. And we feel like there's a lot of synergies around these right now in Fayette County, especially. So for the purpose of today, we really feel like as a land reuse agency, the county has, prioritized cleanup of these properties, ownership of these properties, and really wants to make sure that we're looking at the highest and best reuse of all of these properties. So we feel that there are a couple budgetary requirements in order to do that. And we have some budgetary requests in order to sort of mobilize these priorities. The first is we have worked really diligently, again, commending Fayette County and Angela, especially in working with Region 4 Planning and Development Council to build out that abandoned and dilapidated structure survey. We have hundreds of properties that have been mapped by the public as a need for to be looked at by the Land Reuse Agency. And after Angela worked to sort of scale those down to the most attractive properties and usable properties that the Land Reuse Agency should look at, it seems that it's going to take about $60,000 to acquire those properties. So, and again, that would be utilizing our first right of refusal at the tax sale to acquire those. So a $60,000 budgetary request for property acquisition is ideal for the Land Reuse Agency. Additionally, the Land Reuse Agency has identified the need for a land negotiator. The budgetary request for this is nothing because they will be paid through the sale of those properties, a commission basis. So wanted to just highlight that as a resource for the acquisition of these properties. Finally, we really feel that there are two budgetary requests that should be considered as part of the Land Reuse Agency. One of those is an additional $60,000 request for all of the legal and accounting work associated. It's not ideal to utilize an existing a county attorney because there is some concern around the conflict of interest with representing both the county and the Land Reuse Agency with all of the legal work and title search. So we suspect that we propose that another $60,000 matching the acquisition price for the legal and accounting work required for the acquisition is ideal. And then the final component of the budget request is we feel that the most recent RFP that was put out by Fayette County to develop a recreation master plan really fits squarely within the Land Reuse Agency priorities so that we can build out that master plan looking at those properties that we want to acquire and figuring out how those can be retained for potential recreation asset use, and then master planning further based on those areas as well. So we are proposing a $100,000 request for the recreation master planning that was recently put out by the Fayette County Commission and making a request that the Land Reuse Agency work directly with that recreation master planning firm that is selected to make sure that we're layering all of the development areas and priority areas together to look at it comprehensively. So the total budget request today is a $220,000 budget request, with $60,000 going to acquisition, $60,000 going to legal and accounting work, and $100,000 for the recreation master planning.
Hey, Jenna, sorry. on the rec, can you put that back up there? I was
sorry.
looking at it.
Yep. There you go.
On the recreation infrastructure component, that's more new to me. So can you tell me more about what you guys have in mind for funding there?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, I think most folks know that there's not an actual federal or state funding source that supports extensive recreation infrastructure development. And so we have sort of for lack of a better word, been advocating pretty strongly for the state of West Virginia to consider additional infrastructure, recreation infrastructure funding. As you all know, we've had great success working with the planning efforts of the Fayette Trails Coalition when they built out their recreation master plan that Fayette County supported, in lobbying or utilizing that plan to leverage additional federal funding for recreation infrastructure. But that was sort of a once in a lifetime opportunity with congressionally directed spending. We feel like the more that the Land Reuse Agency plays a role in master planning areas for potential recreation development and acquiring and cleaning up those areas, the more we'll be able to leverage those areas owned by the county for funding for recreation infrastructure. So at this point, rather than sort of haphazardly looking at different areas for new recreation assets, how can the Land Reuse Agency be a tool to comprehensively look at areas for redevelopment of both business locations, potential commercial industrial locations, but also access to recreation infrastructure. If we have those areas identified and cleaned up and ready, it's easier for us to use that plan to leverage for funding. Is that helpful?
Yep, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
And I like your op-eds in all the newspapers.
You guys, I mean, I have to commend Fayette County. Like, you guys, you stepped up and said, like, we're going to figure out how to solve for this. And as an economic development authority, it gives us a new tool in the toolbox to be able to say, like, we want to work really closely to figure out how to clean these areas up and put them back into productive reuse, whether that's as, you know, a site that we market for housing or commercial infrastructure or recreation. I mean, that Land Reuse Agency is serving as a tool. And so as much as we can tell the story of what Fayette County is trying to do, that's the goal for us.
I don't have any more questions.
I'm good. Do you have any questions, John?
No, I don't.
Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you, guys.
Ms. Taylor, I think you said you wanted a break before.
I do.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. Call the meeting back. We'll call the meeting back to order and discussion decision on the excess levy rates. I'm sure that's the reason all fire's here today. But I want to say a few things before. I'm going to start off by saying between 2017, just so fire understands, between 2017 and 2023, the fire department's average spending between $600,000 and $1 million a year. I didn't know whether y'all knew that or not. The highest was at $1.5 million in 1 year. The way the levy rates will be set in equal percentages today, if the commission decides to, with fire having equal percentages with law, the estimated income will be $1.6 million for fire. Net at 1.4. And that is a low estimate. It's a low estimate. I think, in fact, you've heard talk here all today that our property values are up. I'm looking at least 200 more. I'm guessing at least $200 more thousand. So, I mean, that's basically all I have to say, because that's one of the things y'all really wanted to know is how much money that would be generated if you do it equally. I think that's the big question y'all had. I mean, if it's not, I mean, you can ask. I don't know how the other commissioners, if they have anything to say.
Yeah, I do. I first want to ask, did we ever get the formula for the fire truck purchases?
Mm-hmm.
You guys said that you had a special formula that you used.
We haven't got it. Yeah, I gave you all the paper.
They gave it to us in a meeting
Okay.
recently.
All right. And then what's the interest rates on the fire trucks that you purchased?
Last one we purchased was 3.5%.
3.5%.
Now that's been since 2020 or 2020.
Is that about the average?
They're up now just due to like rates are up, so you're probably looking close to 5-6%.
I would like to propose something different. Here's a copy for both of you guys. We're looking at 15 different houses, fire houses. And with the utility costs, fuel cost, everything has gone up on an average of 32% to 48%, depending on what website that you look at. I feel that with moving 4 deputies from the levy to the general county, that we should make the percentage 55.47 for fire, 44.53 for police. And with the extra deputies coming off, that will bring them up to the proposed amount that Tom suggested, the 1.4. And it would keep the fire low end at 1.615.
I would just like to get numbers in advance of a meeting. I mean, you know, I got Tom's last night, which wasn't well enough in advance, but I got yours today, and you know, there's a lot to consider here. And I would like to have time to review them and go over them with the county administrator before it's set for a vote.
So John, when will these numbers change?
That was my own calculation.
Well, I mean, when can these numbers be implemented?
When?
Yeah.
With the levy.
But when do they start?
When the levy is voted on for the next fiscal year.
It doesn't start till 2025, I believe.
Right. Yes.
Right, 2025. That's what I was trying to get you to say. Okay.
What does this mean, though? The $100,000, 125?
Those were just different examples that I gave you to look at.
It's not that much different than what's projected here, really.
Well, low end, you're looking at 1.455667. And mine that's for both. For mine, the fire would be 1.615052, and the police would be 1296282. And then with the 4 deputies coming off of the levy going on to general county, that would raise it up. But I do not know the exact amount.
That's what I'm confused about. Is that the net, or is that the net?
Yes, that would be the net.
The net. So it'd be 1.8 or 1.9. That's, I mean, you don't have the other figures in here, is what I'm confused about. You don't have the total classes and the so y'all budget's going to reflect 1.6 million a year.
Can I talk to you about something that goes above the budgets that we put in right now? I mean, I want you to look at what we're facing as a fire service right now. Even versus what we did last year. You do know that all of our radios in our county need to be replaced. These radios were from 2007.
Can you step up to the mic so people on the Zoom can hear you?
Well, our radios are from 2007. And right now, Motorola and Kenwood are the radios that we're using. And from talking to the repair people, they're just obsolete. There's just no parts. I've got about 6 radios right now sitting in my office that just are not repairable. New radios cost anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 based on the type of communications that we need. We're looking at probably somewhere around, just for the Montgomery Fire Department, almost $21,000 just to replace the radios for Fayette County.
And we're familiar with that Motorola problem through our 911 center and the law enforcement and the ambulances. So we've heard about it before.
Well, we actually use Kenwood. All the other departments do too. And you know, been talking. I got some general pricing on it because really we are having some very serious communication issues, even with our Valley Tower.
I mean, we're not getting messages when our pagers are going off, so we're getting a delay sometimes anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. That can make a difference in somebody's life. I'm sorry, that's just a fact.
No, so that's about about 315,000 for all fire departments.
No, you're talking about for radios?
Yeah.
You're probably talking about, what did we figure, John, about 1.7 million?
Yeah.
So it's about 1.7 million to get our radios up to, it's for every department.
So yours is 21,000.
21,000
times 15.
Yep, it is that.
21,15.
I'm based on what we did in the last grade.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what 21,000 times 15 departments is 315,000.
That's not right.
Okay, with that, I mean, I'm going by.
No, I'm sorry. My radios are 20,000 per truck. I'm sorry.
So you got how many trucks?
I got 5 trucks.
5
So
trucks.
you have to have radios for every seated position for every truck that has a pump and water. That's NFPA.
5 trucks.
Just to replace Fayetteville portable, we calculated just at 75,000. That does not include mobiles, and that does not include all the portables. But we're looking at a grant, and they only allow you a portable for, say, riding positions on engines, ladders. It doesn't include like pickup trucks and that type of stuff.
So the grant, 1.1 million, what would be actual cash compared to the grant? What's the percent? Or is that just buying them straight out, no grants?
That's what it would cost us.
So I mean,
just to replace portables, some of our trucks.
So do you apply for grants for that, or you just buy it straight out?
We did.
Apply for a grant for that, yeah.
Okay,
it wasn't we lost the grant, they just ran out of money to fund it.
Well, what's the percentage of cash to
10%.
10%? Okay, so 10% of the $1 million be $100,000
Right.
out of the levy. Okay, that's what I knew they was, but I was trying to get somebody else to say it instead of me. Okay.
So and grants, unfortunately for the AFG, as we're seeing, are getting tougher and tougher here. Again, they're getting their funding cut.
Yeah.
Another issue that we're looking at that the cost that's going to cost to increase is foam. All of our foam right now that we have has PFAS, which is cancer causing. It's basically recommended not to use. We still have it on our apparatus. We have done inventories for the state fire marshal to get rid of the foam, but we've done nothing to talk about replacement. This foam's going to cost probably somewhere around $1,000 per engine. NFPA says you have to have at least 15 gallons. Okay, we actually carry 25 in Montgomery. We have a little higher hazard, a lot more hydrocarbon going through the area. And I'm just wanting to bring up a few things that are costly, that are increased. We purchased an engine in 2020 that the initial price was $517,000. Guaranteed in 25, these prices could be upwards of $750 or higher. That's coming from the manufacturer, along with a Pierce company right now. And this was from the finance company that deals with them. They have a 42-month delivery. In other words, you're not going to get your truck for 40 years plus. And that's just, I mean, it's just where we're at in our country today. Talking about the old apparatus we had, I just spent several $1,000s just getting my pump valve replaced that they would pass a pump test. And these are trucks that are 20 years old or older. And when you have nylon valves in your trucks and you get rocks in them, they create cavities, and those cavities allow air, and it will allow your trucks to draft water in the case you need to do that. I myself, I'm looking at a roof that needs to be put on my building. It's a 5,600 square foot building. I've seen prices anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. It's just something. My building's 45 plus years old. We actually need to paint our building. We haven't done that in over 20 years. You know, we still need to be more of a business place in town versus an eyesore. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. We need to make sure that we're maintaining new and updated equipment that promotes effectiveness and efficiency. You understand something? When you look at the guys in here, you only see a couple of guys in here that are probably in their 20s. we're getting guys that are, I mean, we're just not getting new people, folks. Our fire service has gone from, when I started in the department, 20 years old as an average age, we're up in our 40s right now. I got guys I'm putting on nozzles that are just not able to physically do as much as they did before. So what did I do? I went in and reduced all my reaction nozzles by 30%, make it a little easy for us. Okay. We've gone to battery operated rescue tools. Takes one person or a 3-man job down to one person, or even 4 people if you're off on an unlevel road where you got to hold the unit. These things operate. We had a car wreck the other day, and within 8 minutes, 4 of us had 4 doors, and we call it a B post, which is opened up enough that we could actually extricate 2 patients. We did that in about 8 minutes. It's effective, but that's something that a 40 or 50-year-old man can do that he couldn't pull all 3 pieces of equipment, the hoses, the generator, and the tool to the scene to do it. And that's why we've done that. And there's departments in here that are still struggling to try to get to that point. And it's expensive. These tools are about $12,000 a piece. And again, I believe in effectiveness, and I believe in making sure that everything we do is efficient.
What was the PFAS item? What was the cost of that you said?
We're looking at somewhere right around $1,000 per engine to meet NFPA. Now that's obviously going to include some shipping. These are big items or heavy items.
That's like $50,000.
It's called green foam. It's called GFFF. The old stuff was AFFF. We've still, and obviously we're going to have to buy a little bit to train with because we've never used it before.
Okay. All the information you give us, you're going to leave that with the commission today, aren't you?
I can. It's kind of in my scribble.
Well, I mean, I think I can read scribble.
Okay. Well, like I say, you're more than welcome.
I would like to have it.
Sure. Air packs. You know, this county actually purchased air packs through a grant back in 2018, and we had 15 departments agree on the same air pack. I got a friend of mine who's head of the county fire coordinator in Kanawha County. He said there is no way that he could ever do that to get those guys to come together. I just want you to know our fire station over the last 40 years has come together as one. We've worked as one. We've got the same goals as one. And I'm telling you, counties around us that even have levies and things, they're more like this. I used to go to county meetings when I was a kid just to watch them fight. Am I lying? We're not like that anymore. We actually work together as a team. And that's very important that we promote consistency. We promote compatibility because it makes us more effective and efficient in the jobs we do. Guys, this is not easy. I can tell you for a fact. We're trying right now to get 2 sets of bunker gear on every guy. Why is that? Well, first thing is if I go out on a fire today and then I got to come back and wash my gear and dry it, you're looking at probably a 3-day purchase or a 3-day period. We're about 40, how many days are we in? 40 days into the year of 2024. We've had 10 hose pulling structure fires that have had what we call an IDLH. It's immediately dangerous to life and health. It puts the contaminants in their gear. They've got to wash it before they can respond to the next one. If I don't have these guys in a second set of gear, they're going to have to wear wet gear. They can't enter the structure or they'll get burned up from the steam.
How many calls total in that situation?
40.
40 calls.
I've almost run a call a day. We are up. In 2019, we ran 116 calls. Last year, we ran 284.
Is that between Kanawha County and Fayette County?
That's anywhere we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's anywhere we're called. And that's also, we're on an increase from last year. Our call volume is increasing. Plus, for my area, we've increased in overall land. You know, we're halfway to Jenkins Fork where we meet John's department because the bridge is down and Golly Bridge can't get over there. So we have to pick up all that area. You know, we've picked all that up. We've got departments that are around us that are struggling. Between Montgomery and Boomer, we are actually covering Smithers. We've agreed with the Fire Commission that we would help to where we're still maintaining fire service for those people with, you know, as far as I'm concerned, impeccable fire service. Both of our fire department ISO ratings are a little lower than Smithers. So they're actually getting better coverage in ISO, and hopefully ISO will look at that, give them their reductions on their insurance. Let's talk about another item we use. We bought battery operated fans, $5,000 a piece. We have old gas powered fans, but every time we take a gas powered fan up to the old folks' home and I try to blow smoke out, I'm adding CO to their building. So we started using battery fan, or we started using electric fans, but then when you got to start trying to find 200 feet of extension cord to get them to run, makes it a little difficult.
That's $750,000, right?
For battery operated fans,
You said 50,000 a piece, right?
they're 5,000 a piece.
Oh, I thought you said 50. Oh,
There's no cords. They're a one-man operation. We can go set them up and we can get ventilation started. As a few of you know that you have your frequent flyers, is what I call them when we show up. 90% of the time that we respond to these, we do set up a fan. Tell you about a call we had there today in just a minute. We've been talking about thermal imaging cameras, and I know that's a subject that's already been discussed. Probably one of the most important items that we can carry for saving lives in our own lives. And we have to be able to have that. We need to have it up to date, and we need to have the best equipment on the market because our people depend on it. So do our citizens. We need gas monitors. I know we're in a decision whether we need 4 or 5 gas, but we need 5 gas monitors that'll monitor carbon monoxide, which is produced in any fire we go, hydrogen sulfide. Anybody that has anything that they work underground, this hydrogen sulfide comes up and it'll kill you. There's stories about firemen showing up, going in to get somebody out of the ditch. They die, 2 or 3 others die. Then finally somebody goes, wait a minute, something's not right. There's hydrogen sulfide in that ditch, and it's a deadly agent, and they passed away. These are actual incidents that have happened. We have to also have LEL, which is a lower explosive limit that allows us to go in where there's either propane or there's natural gas. And it allows us to know that if we're in an area where it's present, whether there's enough of a percentage for it to explode. And, you know, it could be 5% over here and 20% over there. It's very important that we have these monitors. We also need to monitor O2 levels. We need to make sure that our oxygen's not dropping to a level where it becomes oxygen deficient. And we need to measure for hydrogen cyanide. Everything that's got foam in it, you know, anything that's like that, your couch and all that, it's just, they call it solid gasoline. It produces hydrogen cyanide. Well, that's what we used to use in the gas chamber. We're not wearing our SCBAs. If you ever been around a fire and your eyes start burning real big, you're smelling hydrogen cyanide. And guess what? It's starting to kill your body. We've got so many threats that are facing us today that we didn't have yesterday. We're talking about hazardous materials in everything we do. It's not just a tanker wreck down the road. When we roll into a house fire, it is a hazardous material incident. Yesterday in Los Angeles, California, a Class 1 fire department critically injured 2 and 7 other firefighters were injured when a compressed natural gas cylinder on a truck ruptured while they were trying to fight the fire. This is new to us, guys. We can't just allow, well, we're going to try to learn from that, but how we do that, thank God we got a training center that we can set a prop up and teach people how to do things. How close can you get? They told us on the news last night, the fire chief, we now we know to establish a 500-foot radius. Let's not get our people injured. Luckily, the driver was okay, but 9 firefighters went to the hospital, 2 critically. We're dealing with electric cars. They're coming. I'm sorry, you see it every day. Electric car catches on fire. You go to put it out. 15 minutes later, it's on fire again. These batteries keep expelling energy, and we don't know what, take a wrecker, pick them up and go throw them in the river. Well, the EPAs will come and get you when you do that. We've got to figure a way to do this. And with technology, with training, unfortunately, a lot of it's going to be trial and error through the industry. Today, had a call where we had a telephone catch fire, had a lithium-ion battery. That is something that's really, really, really being looked at throughout our industry as a serious problem. And what's happening is you see these e-bikes and all this stuff, people are buying them, they're using them in these bigger cities to get around. They're coming here, folks. They'll be here before you know it. These batteries are being purchased aftermarket. They're put on these things. They're put in lobbies or vestibules of apartment buildings. They're plugging them up with an unapproved extension cord. They're overheating. They're catching fire. Last year in New York City, 40 people died because of lithium-ion batteries. Fire got started and burned them up. There's a video out there that's put out by UL that shows a battery bike in somebody's living room and how quick it just absolutely erupts in flames and overtakes the room. It's just a few seconds. These are things they're new to us, and these are things we got to learn. These are things we want new people so we can teach them. We've got to keep preaching to our guys. They've got to wear their breathing apparatus when we're doing overhaul. And that's where we're working on the complete extinguishment of the fire. These are the things, you know, guys, you hear me up here talking. I'm very passionate about what we do. I've done it for a long time. I'm getting ready to hit 49 years. I want to do another 49, but I know my body's not going to let me do that. The biggest thing we need to do is we need to train, and we need to be as much available training as we can get for our members. Understand, these guys got to work. You know, if I go tell my wife, look, I'm going to go spend 16 hours Saturday and Sunday and go do training, it's not good sometimes. So retention, retaining people, you know, most of our departments are living on that system. I mean, my son's on the department. There's 15 people in my department that are related to each other. Okay, that's a serious issue. I'm saying there's so many different things. I'm gonna tug at your heartstrings just a little bit, I hope. I'm gonna show you a picture. I was giving all three of you one. I joined the fire department in 1975. This is a group picture of us we took in 1983. There might be two there. Pass those up. And if you look, I wrote picture or a thing on, you got two of them going. Let me have one. If you notice, I put on here that of those people in that picture, 10 of them are dead. Buried one last week. In this picture, only one person reached the age of 70. Okay? They've been firefighters their whole life. Tell me something's not killing us. Most of these people died of what they said was natural causes. Are they really natural causes? I mean, right now they've listed firefighting as a carcinogen, just like if you're smoking. People are dying. I got proof of it right here. I'm the little hairy head kid that's 22 years old in this picture. And my brother-in-law's right behind me. Buried him last week. He was a firefighter for over 50 years. He was retired from Charleston. He was county coordinator in Kanawha County. He was an all-around. I'm biased, but I want you to look at all these guys. These are guys that I run around with, man. None of them lived till 70. And then there's two other ones. One did live till 70, a former chief, Mr. Michael Giannini, who died a year or so ago. And then about 15 years ago, my former fire chief and one of my best friends, John and I, very close, passed away at 55 years old. And it wasn't, you know, all of us have some lifestyle stuff, but how much is related to what we do in the fire service? What are we actually giving? I'm telling you right now, I think we're giving our lives.
Are you done? I'm sorry. You done, Benny?
So,
were you done?
I don't know his name, but I remember seeing this guy outside all the time.
The bigger guy?
Yeah.
David Paul, he used to be our fire chief.
I remember seeing him out by outside all the time.
About 5
Of course, I
different
know
fire
Herb
chiefs.
Bowling.
Herb Bowling,
Mm-hmm.
John Taylor, David Paul, Larry Lawson, Dale Petrie, Chris Allen, King,
Yeah, John was only 2 years older.
Billy White, you know, all those guys. And like I said, I started at 75, that picture was in 83. And I know we're a long way in life. They didn't reach 70 years old. Am I gonna make it? I'm 62. I got issues.
Well, Benny, I agree with you. I think, and I don't think I've ever denied anybody any equipment in here. Have I?
It's not that I'm just telling you that it's growing.
Well, what I'm telling you is, what I'd suggest the commission, for us to do as commission, is you take your list that you have, you get us a figure on what it is, and this commission will allot that money to be paid to get all this stuff you just requested out of the fire levy funds immediately. I mean, I think we ought to bring that up, because I think what we may have to do, since John just gave us these figures, is postpone this till the 20th. But what I'm just speaking, you know, I'm not speaking for 3 commissioners, but what I'd like to have on the 20th is how much the fire association, fire departments need, a dollar figure to buy everything you just mentioned for every piece of equipment that you have. And we'll make a decision the same day, what I suggest, to buy all that equipment, no matter what it costs, to make sure you guys are taken care of. I've never denied equipment. I've never denied any equipment.
I appreciate that.
I've never denied an invoice. So I'm going to make a suggestion on the 20th, if we postpone this to the 20th, if it's $2 million, when you sit there and tell us if it's $2 million, you bring the $2 million ticket in here, I'll bring it before the commission and we'll vote $2 million. And I will vote to pass it, whether these two do or not. Set that money aside and you buy what you want. Does that seem fair? I mean, that's what you're Benny, that's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me. You need.
I'm speaking, I hope, for the group.
I think
you
are.
Like to be able to get with our chiefs together to prioritize on what we need. Again, like I said, I know we do things in moderation. We do things that are right. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that have, I mentioned some personal repairs in my station, but the overall equipment, again, like I said, the phone and the radios, I feel like are top critical items.
Listen, we have to vote on this before the 20th. I don't think with John throwing this a wrench in, we're going to vote before the 20th. That gives you a few days to get the total figure that you want to spend on all this stuff you just mentioned. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't know how the other 2 commissioners feel about it, but if it's $5 million, we'll spend the 4.5, 4.2 you have in there. I don't care. I don't believe you guys should do without the equipment that you need, because I've never said that. You've insinuated that. So if you need it, I will support it.
I just wonder why it took the levy call for us to learn that you needed some of this stuff.
Well,
because
unfortunately in the past, until it's really been brought to light, everything, you know, we talked about the levy call in 2015 to be allowed to build a training center. We got that all into place. Everybody agreed that's where we need to be. And we try to keep moving along. I mean, we try to move as prudent as we possibly can. That's why we give extra money. We try to make sure that we've got extra money to try to work as a team to get these things. We haven't, so far, we've bought many items that have helped us as a group. We've bought cameras before, we've bought gas monitors. Unfortunately, it was back over 15 years ago. We bought air pipes. As a matter of fact, we paid over $800,000 from our levy for the air pipes. It was an addition to the $1 million we got from the levy or from the grant.
I just want to make sure moving forward that no matter what is going on or what time of year it is, or if it's out of cycle, that if you guys have a critical need for equipment, that you come to us then and not wait. Because
can I go another step?
That's what
I know we've been talking and there's a lot of resentment again, but we've always relied on our county coordinator, and I'll put it in layman's terms. The county coordinator is our mom. We always go to our mom to get things done, get our scheduling done, get all this done and this done and this done. Now that's taken away from us. It's really left a lot of people out in the left field. Even though there's information out there on what to do, there's still a sense of we're lost.
Well, Benny, and I'm not trying, you know, and you know, like Miss Taylor said, if we'd have known this in advance, but that's why we asked for budgets to be put in 2022.
I'm
And,
okay with that.
but nobody really wanted to.
Well, and the reason for
They
that is
wanted
because
to.
the budgets were always done by the county coordinator and submitted as a whole.
Okay, well, nobody wanted to. I mean, we'd have known that stuff. I mean, I'm all for spending the money on what you need. I don't care. I mean,
My thing is, in the past, when the budget was turned in by Joe or Steve or whatever, I mean, all that is a total group of what we do. We've always worked under a level of money that we've received. So far, everybody seemed to be pretty happy with what was going on, and we were able to do things, and we were able to plan to do future things.
Well, Steve,
In other words, they allow us to manage our department, okay? And now you're kind of taking a program about budgeting. Okay, budgeting's easy. You guys are it's simple. Hey, most of these guys are firemen. They're not accountants. And when you do that, the first thing you've done is you've intimidated the heck out of them.
but they can hire somebody to do that for them.
Right.
Out of these funds. What we're saying is, you know, especially with regard to the fire coordinator, that person should not be employed by us who has no idea about anything fire. We hired you fire coordinator, you hated him, you know, so
Well,
now we're gonna.
No direction. I'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, how much direction should we have to give though for somebody who doesn't, you know, we need to have the expertise that we don't understand.
Right.
So we understand what we need for county administrator. We understand what we need for prosecutor. We don't understand that.
Can I add something to that? We have fire coordinator. The fire coordinator should have a job description. His boss should have a job description. And you work within it. I mean, we're all evaluated every year on our performance. At least you should be as an employee of whoever you work for. That's the same thing. I would love to see an oversight committee of several chiefs that would do this to be able to make sure that if things aren't working with the county coordinator on these topics, then we switch them to this. What's going to make it work? That we got some type of a seamless operation and also a relationship with you all.
I think the association, I've said this from the very beginning, I've even talked to Josh about it. I think the association should hire the fire coordinator and put in a budget. I mean, I said this the last time we was here.
County did an agreement to cover this person we'll pay money.
Put in a budget. Benny, put in a budget.
I understand that, but what I'm talking about is item. Will they be able to get covered on county insurance?
No.
See, that's the thing that we're looking at. These people deserve the opportunity for an insurance plan that's feasible and a retirement.
But they're gonna be your employee.
Right.
They're your employee.
There's no way that we can piggyback through the county on that.
No, I don't think that we should have the responsibility to supervise and pay somebody who is working for another entity.
Wait a minute, we're gonna pay it. Only thing we wanna do is be able to get in, let them become part of the group.
But then they will be a county employee and then
You know
we
what?
will
We
be
don't want-
liable for their behavior. I mean,
And that's the
you
only
know,
thing that was ever done in the past. It's all human resources. There was never any type of operational guidelines set forth through. You know, Joe would tell me I'm supposed to be at work at 4 o'clock. I got to punch in or punch out, whatever it's supposed to be. I said, what if you're on an incident and down in Oak Hill? I mean, you know, radio and markup. Can you not timestamp that and use that as a?
it's just not the way governments work. I mean, we can't, it's just like, we're not going to put the Humane Society director on our employee either. I mean, it'd be easier to recruit and retain one, that's for sure, but.
Well, let me ask you something. Do they offer insurance to this person? Like medical insurance or?
I don't think so at this point, but that would be up to the society itself or its board.
See, my question is,
To-
where do
to
we
find a plan
research
for them.
those things? I mean, are we gonna start our own mini corporation? And then we actually go out and we hire an insurance company that'll do that? I mean, I would hope that these guys, and I would even go to the state and ask them if they can piggyback on the state's insurance.
They are.
For about insurance, well, PEI along with the retirement.
Is the fire association nonprofit?
We are a 501c3.
That's okay. I mean, I think you can hire people. I think you can. Yeah,
And maybe even get an insurance plan
Am I
for
right?
members.
Okay, the
and that
lawyer
sort of
just
thing.
said you can. The lawyer just said you can hire people, so y'all can hire people.
Do you have any suggestions on what we need to do to get them under a franchise that is feasible that is beneficial.
Ruth, do you have any suggestions?
About.
About how, I mean, how would a private nonprofit research, or where would they start to get a fringe package for its employees? Not just necessarily this one, but if you had other people, if you were.
The animal shelter is fine. It's a, what they call, like they have like a payroll, it's payroll, PRO, PPO. I can't remember the abbreviation.
But do they provide them insurance and stuff too?
Insurance.
Okay, so compliance is out of Beckley, but that's who the animal shelter is
So,
using.
I'm saying there are, I mean, I haven't done this before. I know there's agencies out there. I mean, if you could get us.
There's a couple.
Yeah, but we want to make sure that whoever, if we do hire somebody to do it right, you know, we gotta have some incentive for this person and.
Won't you pay them more money?
Well, I think we need to, I mean,
There's 4.2 million in the account, pay them more money.
I think $60,000 is a good salary. We all benefit.
It'd be up to the association bringing a budget to the commission. I mean, if you want to pay them $100,000, you bring a budget to the commission.
I mean, we will be reasonable.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you, I mean, you know, I mean, the money's there if you want to pay them more money.
Well, if you weren't able to get them benefits, you might want to pay them more so they could get their own private benefits.
Okay. So, okay, I do have
Who?
one other question.
Who is that?
Tom Miller, he's worked for WB Fire Extension. He's also worked for BI and everything, so
Okay.
I'll talk to him next week.
Okay, so there's one thing, and I did want to mention though too that, you know, we did have a fire coordinator until, you know, a couple months ago, and he didn't bring any of those things to our attention. So I really would like the association to make sure that, you know, even if it's in writing or at a public meeting, that you come in and you say, hey, you know, like I met with Josh yesterday and he told me we've been trying to cobble things together. Fayetteville's been calling the state police to get parts for the radios, and you've gotten to the point where you can't avoid replacing them anymore. And so, and he told me that was a big, you know, one of the big concerns. But that's the kind of thing I would love to know as soon as it's an issue, so we can.
And I agree with you, but and Tom, you should have done this firsthand. I mean, we worked with Steve side by side for quite a while. You noticed that most everything he did was catch up. I mean, there was a lot of catch up.
Right, and I'm not trying to bang on Steve. I'm just trying to say, we had that person still didn't know.
Got this information completely out.
Right.
But one other question I do have, and I've never had to do this before. I'm submitting a budget due March 1st, is that right? But they tell me that I've got to make part of the agenda to come in and present the budget to you guys?
I think the only presentations after talking to the county administrator that we would like are the ones from the municipalities, only because the ones that are in municipalities, because you guys have municipal funds in addition to state funds, in addition to county funds. So that's, you know, so whether it's you or whether it's Mayor Ingram or whoever comes in, if we could get a presentation from, you know, the municipalities in your cases. In the cases of all these other departments, no, we would just like you to submit a budget. And if we have questions, then we'll get you on the agenda and bring you in and ask you some questions. We can let you know what they are in advance, so you'll be ready to answer them when you get here. So that way we can just take a look at it and kind of streamline things a little bit. Because as soon as I said, everybody can get on the agenda, she came in and said, are you kidding me? You know, I'd rather just look at their budgets, and if we have questions.
Send our budgets to Josh and then him to present them to you. Is that what we're going to do?
You can send them to Josh and he can just submit them to Ruth.
Okay.
And
you can email them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, what we've kind of done is, I mean, he does it, so I guess he's got a check off list.
However you want to do it, however you want to do it yourself. You can communicate with us directly. It's up, you know, it's up to you, or through the association. But either way, if you get them to Ruth, she's our number person. She's our CFO, you know, CEO. So she's the CPA who takes a look at everything and makes sure. And if she has questions, she'll probably come back and ask you first before she even gives them to us. And then so she can answer our questions, streamline things. That's typically what happens. Like if the assessor or the sheriff comes in and works with her on a budget, that's how that works. And I think Josh has had, you know, they've streamlined it pretty well between him and Gina on some of the things he's been working on, because he had good things to say about their help. So, but especially with, I mean, we've known that, I didn't know what was in your fire trucks or anything, but we've known about these radio issues throughout the county because it's come up with in other, instances with law enforcement and ambulance services and stuff.
Well, I do know we strive to try to do the best we can be for effective, efficient, to be efficient. I can say it, but the effectiveness of what we do is based on the people that we have, the level of training, the difficulty of the job. It's getting very difficult sometimes, and let me tell you what, ours is a whole different animal today than it was just 16 years ago. Am I not wrong? We face things that we didn't face before. And it's new to all of us. And that's one, I keep harping on the training center. We have an opportunity there to make sure that we can get this out of our system and learn it before we actually have to face it in the field. Because you face it in the field, you have to rub your shoulders sometimes. And again, you look at the guys in Los Angeles, unusual situation, something we could have prepared a little better for maybe. I want to try to make sure that we're 100%. So I don't want you guys to have to show up and say, my God,
we absolutely don't want an issue like this. I mean, any of this equipment that we can provide that can prevent a premature death from volunteering to serve the county is absolutely something that I think every person here is interested in funding.
That's very personal to me because I grew up with these guys. And when I started doing the research, there's a lady in New Hampshire whose husband's got cancer. He's a firefighter. And she started a program out there that is hitting hard across the nation. And talking about bunker gear that has PFAS already in it. We're trying to get everything. I mean, look, you're asking guys to come out and do this job. It's our responsibility as fire chiefs to make sure that they got the right equipment to use, because we do have the funding. I think about the loss of any of that funding doesn't give us the opportunity to stay ahead of the game. I want to be proactive. I don't want to react.
Where is that equipment going to be purchased from?
What equipment?
The equipment that you requested a list for.
Let's say,
come out of our.
Oh, yeah, it's got to come out.
4 million levy.
Yeah, 4
I just want to make it clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's y'all. I mean, it's the people's money, but it's to be used for the fire departments. And like I said, it's the first I've heard of all this, and I don't think I've ever denied equipment. If you need it, I don't have a problem voting on it. If that's something you need, I don't have a problem voting on it.
Well, so is there a commitment from the commission moving forward to continue to support and purchase that equipment as needed? Or a question I have, is this something that is kind of like a bread and butter deal? Hey, we're going to give you some equipment now, go along with what we're proposing for the 50-50 split or the 55 or
listen,
whatever.
We have always, we have authorized every single reimbursement that's come through here. There were only 2 that were postponed for a couple of weeks. There were a couple that were postponed while we got some questions answered, but every single reimbursement, your chiefs are in charge of buying the equipment and working out among them how they're going to do it. And then they come in and ask for reimbursement from the commission, and we have approved every single one. So there's never been, y'all do what we want or we're not going to approve it. I mean, that's just not how, that's just not how we operate.
From this day moving forward.
Well, brother, let me ask you a question. That equipment he just mentioned there is for safety, right? I mean, I'm not a fireman. Is that for safety?
Absolutely.
There's a difference in safety is a lot different than anything else. If it has to do with safety, I understand.
Air packs, the PFAS thing.
Every purchase we push to you is safety.
Okay.
Well,
while we're on the topic of safety, on Tuesday evening, March 5th at 7 o'clock, the Oak Hill Fire Department is going to be hosting an open house for all the citizens in the county to come in. All of our members and officers will be there. We're gonna answer questions. We're gonna give everybody tours. We're gonna discuss our operations, not on our daily basis, but also our special operations. And there's a lot of safety concerns that we're gonna address with it. Now, there's been a lot of misleading and false information posted on Facebook. And this meeting is going to address all those information that is false.
Okay.
So I wanted to personally invite all three of you, sure it's on record, that we're inviting everybody in Fayette County to come to Oak Hill Fire Department on Tuesday, March 5th.
Did you say 1900?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there's, I mean, I wish we could do something about all the misinformation on Facebook about us too, but we can't. I mean, you know, we were blamed for some issues that happened within a department, and you know, that's just something we don't control. And there are also things that you guys know are out of everybody's control. Stuff is going to break. And when it breaks, then your chiefs are going to replace it, you know, so things are going to happen when you're on a call that are terrible and terrifying. And then, you know, the way to go about addressing that is go to your chief. And if your chief, you know, does not have the funding to replace it, you chiefs need to come to us. And they are really good about that. I mean, they're trying to save money. So now they're coming in saying, you know, we've been trying to save money, but we can't anymore. We have these big purchases of radios we need to make. But that's what we want from you. We want you to come in and tell us when you need something. You know, and sometimes, just like those examples, you know, I know people in this area have lost trucks before. Paint Creek, didn't they lose something? Or I know they wrecked one and somebody died. But, you know, things are going to happen, you know, that we don't plan for in the budget. You know, things are going to happen to your equipment that we're not planning for. And we're just going to have to deal with it and look at what we have and the surplus that you guys have worked so hard to preserve, and see how we can take care of it for you. But
I think that's one thing is the surplus that you're saying is there.
Mm-hmm.
That's there because of the association's long range planning to be able to afford to do exactly what we're talking about, which is replace engines, make group purchases for the safety equipment. And it's not there just because we don't need it. It's there because we've been very frugal with what we've spent to operate on, because we planned for the training center, right? We have almost a $2 million item, but we need to be constructed down there now, that we were planning to use some of that, what you're calling surplus money, to be able to fund. And some of these other items, just like we talked about the $170,000 that the state gave and being able to use that as group purchases. So that's also one reason why I believe that most of the association, not all, is against taking money from the fire levy and shifting it somewhere else, because these costs are going to come up in the future too. You know, if you're cutting a percentage out of the fire levy and you're giving a percentage over to the sheriff's levy, then you're basically cutting money or percentage out. And it's neat to understand that in the past, when these levies were first run, sheriff's levy didn't pass. And years later, the commission came to the association and asked if we would take a percentage of what the levy for the fire was and take that out and decrease the percentage of the fire levy got, so they could run the sheriff's levy and run them all together, which was done. At one time, the fire levy and the sheriff's and the library levy was run with one vote. Well, years later, so that passed. Years later, the citizens not liking just have one, they wanted to vote on each individual one that was divided back up. But what's totally in the sheriff's levy right now came from the percentage that at one time was cut out of the fire department levy. So when they're asking us to give something up, Fire Association has agreed to give up a percentage of what they were getting at that time from the levy to actually have a sheriff's levy.
But the levy cycle is going to be shortened to 4 years, I think. From everything anybody's telling me, it's going to be 4 years. So I just want to keep in mind, and I have not studied, I had very little time to study Commissioner Luisos's proposal between last night and today, and zero time to study Commissioner Brenneman's proposal. So I am going to ask for more time to come up with my own conclusions. But I will say that if there were going to be any decrease whatever it is in fire, that it can always be revisited in 4 years if that was a mistake. I feel like we have, you know, and whether it's surplus, I know you guys had some plans for that, and I'd love to know, you know, what I see what some of it is. And I know you've got some engine replacements, expensive things in there, but, you know, it's not something that's permanent. So we have 4.2, how much is it? 4.2 million in there right now. And I know you guys had plans for some of that money. And it's not like we're going to just say, okay, we're going to build a Fayette County FD, you know, we're not going to spend it. You know, we're going to spend on whatever the fire association comes to us and says, we need these things. So, you know, if we were to change it at all, it would be a temporary change. It wouldn't necessarily, if we look, you know, 4 years from now and said that was a disaster, you know, we won't repeat that mistake. You know, it's just, we're looking at the big picture. And for us, you know, we see where law enforcement is way underfunded right now. And we should not have, I'll tell you right now, we should not have those deputies on the levy. And that bothers me a lot. I mean, I want them off. I asked Ruth to figure out how many per year we could get off and start transitioning them off, because public safety is an issue there. If a levy doesn't pass, then we lose 23. That's unacceptable. If we had any deputies on there, we should not have 23 deputies. That's the majority of our deputies are on the daggone levy for their salaries and benefits. And that's just not cool. So we have been doing better on revenue. So we're trying to figure out, pull them off, which will loosen up some of those funds to do the last minute things. Like they have really been hurting on cars. And I was happy to hear from the sheriff this morning. Finally, they have safe cars to drive in for a while. And we can start budgeting now annually to start replacing their fleet and that sort of thing, and making sure they have equipment. They don't have a shooting range. So, you know, that's something, if we pull people off the levy, we're going to have to look at, because we have a grant for part of the money, but we need to get them a shooting range, because that's a public safety issue. You know, they need to be able to go more than a couple times a year and practice. You know, they need to be able to go practice whenever they want to. So those are just the large considerations that, you know, I'm churning about, that's going in my head, is how do we accommodate all of these things at once? And I appreciate you coming in and telling us.
I don't want to get out of line with the mayor, but you know, there's a shooting range in Montgomery. And, you know,
well, and I was just thinking too, we could probably leverage a lot more DNR dollars if the county worked with that. We do get DNR participation now, but we could probably get some state funding, fix the access road somewhat, and there is a shooting range down there. It wants a lot, it needs a lot, but DNR isn't already involved in it. Maybe it's the commission of the city went together, but again, that doesn't. I mean, it's in far west.
Well, and I'm hoping too, I've written myself a note here, you know, we've got opioid funding coming in, and I think we could put that toward a range. I hadn't mentioned that to y'all yet because I thought of it during the meeting, but that's one of the options that we can use that money for. It's supposed to go back into law enforcement, you know, and other programming. Department of Health, we've got them thinking on what they want us to do with it. We've got some ARPA funding left, and I had levy last. So, you know, I think there are other ways to do it, but I'm just saying, like, you know, now that I have two sets of numbers to look at, I just like to be able to, you know, and the considerations that you've presented, the considerations that Josh sensitized me to yesterday, and just to have time to think about, you know, and work with county administrator to see what I think would work.
The fire service is, and I agree with you that, but the fire service is not against, you know, it's not police and fire don't ever want to get them together, because we work together hand in hand out there. It's a brother thing. Just the fire service is really concerned about the possibility of losing funding. As you said, if you shift deputies over back to the general fund, that guarantees their job. That frees up that money too. So I don't really see that you need that much of the fire service funding switched over to that to cover that issue. And then
I see what you're talking about. And, you know, Commissioner Brenneman says take 4 off the levy. I don't know that county administrator, if she told him 4, she hasn't told me 4 yet.
Hasn't told me 4.
Yeah, so
her fellowship, you can really look at is
Yeah.
What if the levy doesn't pass? What happens?
Well, and that's,
We gotta start looking into that too, because.
that would be a disaster.
It is.
It come back in November. It'd come back
And we
in
would
November.
push and we would advertise and I was just telling Josh yesterday, we probably have to hire a PR firm or something to get the word out to everybody how important that levy is.
And I've always supported levy, and I think I've told every one of the firemen in here that I have, whether you related or not. I said it in here last Monday, an open meeting, and I've always supported it. I've never denied, I've never said I didn't want the levy to pass. Never.
Well,
Well, I mean, I'm a homeowner, and the burden to me is $50.
well,
That is, I don't think, an unreasonable amount for somebody to pay. I mean, I'm biased, but I think I can even afford to pay a little bit more, but I don't think, and again, like I said, losing funding could really affect our operations.
well, it affects public safety, both on the fire side and the law enforcement side. I mean, it's a huge thing and we need to convey that to the public. If we have any trouble in the primary, I think we're going to have to talk about, formally like doing some infomercials or something to get the word out there and spread, and get some numbers so the public understands fully what will happen if it doesn't pass. But hopefully, it will.
I do have one question for everybody in here. How much money do you need?
Whatever it takes to save.
No, I'm just curious.
Whatever it takes to save a life.
I understand. No, I understand that. I'm not that you save the lives. How much money does it need to buy the equipment that you need?
There's not an amount.
That's a variable every year.
Yeah.
Variable every
year. You have to look, just like you were talking at the beginning of the meeting, in 2017 to 2023, how the money's increased.
Well,
you have to look at the equipment cost, the truck cost, the gear, the workers' comp, everything has increased over the years.
Yeah, well, I think
and all of our budgets have stayed the same.
Yeah, what I said is between 2017 and 2023, you've spent between $600 and $1 million. And that's between 600 and 1 million. Yeah. It doesn't say it went up to 1 million in 2023.
Right. But still,
so I mean, it's
everything's going up.
Yeah.
You was at FDIC last year.
Yeah.
You were amazed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now last year, this year, the trucks alone have went over $100,000.
Yeah, probably more than that. Probably more than that.
In less than a year.
Yeah, probably more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the statement he made about once we get deputies off of the levy and that sort of thing. I agree with you. We just haven't, I asked her to run those numbers. We don't know what that's going to cost yet. So we don't know what those numbers are going to look like. And that's something that I wanted, hopefully we'll know before our next meeting. How many this year and as soon as I get them, you guys can have them.
Well, to be honest with you, we probably won't have them till March. Because we don't know exactly. I mean, everything is an estimate here.
When do you have to finalize the levy?
When is it, Ruth? What's the last date? March something.
Oh, levy call?
Yeah.
You have to have the language for the ballot on the 20th.
Well, the 20th, we got to have the language. That's for the
February.
that's what I'm saying.
Rates and stuff, all go in that.
20th. That's why I said this would bring it back up on the 20th.
I can get some rough numbers from her anyway about what it cost, what each deputy costs and what she thinks. But I mean, in my head, Ford surprised me because I was thinking probably based on what I know, a couple a year, at least this year until we get higher revenue. But I'd love to do all 23, frankly, but we can't. I mean, we're going to have to transition as our revenue increases and we're pushing in other meetings when you guys aren't here to, increase our revenue.
One question I got, I'm just trying to figure it out. You said we spent 1.5 last year. Is that what you said?
Well, I mean, in your figures, it was 1.5, but that's including engines.
No, it ain't. 778,000 was paid on engines on top of the 1.5. Then there was 287,000. I mean, I'm looking.
Oh, hold on.
Sheet I gave you.
Yeah, no, but I took off.
287,000.
Hold on. I took off the 900,000 of state funding that was added onto that. If you take the 900,000 off the state funding, because you put everything together, that was all your expenses, right? Okay, if you take $900,000 off it, I think it leaves about 1.4 million. You take the engine off of it, it's $720,000. That leaves about $600,000. Okay, it was
You lost me there.
okay, 2.5 was total, right?
That's 2.59, so 2.6.
Okay, and that's even what come out of the city of Oak Hill and Fayetteville in the total expenses that they pay too, right?
Yep.
Okay, 2.5. Take 900,000 off as what? 1.6. Then you take 720 off of that. What is it? And that's including Oak Hill and Fayetteville's expenditures too. No, I didn't say that. I said without the trucks is what I'm saying. You spent between, I'm just saying without the trucks. It's between $600 and $1 million.
Right, I don't think you can say without the truck. We're always, I mean, you can't. You don't want to be in this, sheriff department where they need all these cars. You don't want us to be in the same situation where we need all these trucks. So you got to keep that in there. I mean,
I'm just
the way I look at it, you do. I mean, you see it different. That's fine.
Well, I mean, I know you need the trucks. I mean, but
everybody manages a little different. I mean, I've got so much stuff out in all curve. Mainly out of the state. Or state funding, we actually save those monies for future purchases to be able to. The way I buy a truck is I go out and I buy the chassis. If I do that, they give us a reduction in the price. Last time it was $10,000. Then when the rest of the truck is delivered, then we come up with a figure to finance, get us to $11.
But that wouldn't be possible without the supplement of engine replacement.
Right. That's part of it.
That's a critical piece of this is the cost of continuing engine replacement. Usually it's 3 to 4 engines on every cycle, right?
And another way I look at it, you're wanting to take their state money out of it. I mean, the levy is paying, I don't know what, $250. I don't know.
Last time we paid $225 for the engine.
And it's up to the fire departments to come up with the other portion of it. Well, if you want to take every bit of their state money.
No, I was just subtracting off what you said the total was.
Well, I mean, you're taking it off. That's.
I mean, I was just taking off what your total was. I mean, I just taking. I just removing as always. To come up with an operation without the engines of fire departments. Basically, that's what I was doing. I mean, I don't know whether it makes any sense or not, and that's including the revenue from municipalities too. I mean, that's in there because the total operations was what Oak Hill and Fayetteville paid, including the levy in the state. So there's a big variance there.
Let me add something to this. We talk about purchasing trucks and going through the commission and all that. Timmy and John go through their cities and get approval. I go approval through my boards. Our boards actually finalize us to allow to do that, which will allow you to actually release the funding. So it's not just something we as fire chiefs sit down and we run the luck. We do have a legal process that we follow to make sure that we're doing things on the up and up. It's not just something we just fly by night. We just,
I think
we're an operation market.
I think Miss Taylor, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I think Miss Taylor wants a break.
Oh,
sorry, I'm pounding water up here.
Let's call the meeting back to order. Ms. Taylor, do you have any more questions?
I do not have more questions for
John. Do you have any more questions?
Yes, sir. Well, I guess I do. Okay. Was Benny able to cover, other than your trucks, which we know some people have some trucks coming up. I know you had one you were planning to purchase, but did he cover all of the overarching needs, kind of cover all the fire departments as far as these major purchases?
Now, again, these are mine, and like I said, some ideas. I think, I like the open lines of communication, but I'd also like to be able to get back to guys to see if there's anything that we really need to add to this. Again, I know that there's 4 items on there that we have to look at: radios, phone, thermal cameras, and we need to look at gas boilers. So those are our critical items right now.
Okay.
We've got to get our training center complete. We've got to look at the future on apparatus, and like I said, Tim and I talk quite a bit, and we've actually got to the point where we budget
you know, a lot of our budgets are in ahead, but I budget 5 cents a bunker gear a year. You know, I get new members, I get bunker gear that's running out of date. You know, after 10 years, you're not allowed to use it anymore. If you do and somebody gets hurt, the nice attorney's gonna show up and say, hey, look, you weren't supposed to be doing that. Come on. You weren't supposed to go off when you did that. So that's the things we're facing.
In our training center construction, this big ticket item that the engineering's been completed on, that's a big stretch. That vertical construction is huge to the continuing success of that training center.
You have expressed support for all our safety stuff, but stop just short of openly supporting or saying opinions or thoughts you have on the training center. I'd just like to know what the commission, how y'all feel about that. Is that something that you feel is a necessity for us, or do y'all feel like, I'm kind of on the fence about the training center? I would like to know that, how y'all feel about it.
I'll tell you, I told Josh yesterday, for me, the training center is something, as a person, as a human being in Fayette County, I have a lot of pride in. You know, I'm proud of what it's done and what it can do for others. As a commissioner, I want to see what its return on investment is going to be for the taxpayers who are funding it. So that's where I'm wrestling, and I'm asked, and when we were talking, I said, just when the fire training center comes in to present budget requests, I'm going to need to hear, you know, that nexus to, you know, all, not just train our own people, because keep in mind, we could have technically trained them elsewhere. But I mean, I want to see how it's paying. And one of the things Josh raised that, you know, sings to me as a commissioner is when we have all these people coming in to train, they're going to use our hotels, you know, they're going to be paying bed tax. That's the kind of stuff that we need to hear. I mean, I in particular need to hear when the fire training center budget is presented, just so we can see how it's, you know, how I can justify that people paying taxes in Meadowbridge and Montgomery, what the center's doing for them, or, you know, that sort of thing. So as the average taxpayer, and not, you know, of course, having our very well-trained firefighters, that's a no-brainer, but there's got to be a little more to it, because there's millions and millions are going into it.
Well,
so,
and again, like I said, nothing's cheap, but I'm gonna tell you something right now. You can't put a price on me having a guy that I'm able to go through that training center a few times to get him aware of what's going on. You know, I want to get them away from the point of being afraid of fire to aware of what it can do, and allows us to do that. We can present conditions, and we can do that, bless you, without having to go on the scene and turn in somebody who's, and I'll refer back to that Los Angeles issue yesterday. And those are the things that we've got to get proactive on. And I feel like that's the total benefit of our training.
Well, you don't have to convince me about how important training is, because, you know, I was in the military, we train, we exercise, you know, you've got to do that. And, you know, I was talking about the gun range earlier, they need to train too. You know, that's, you don't have to sell me on that, but we're putting a lot of money into it, and we're training other people. That money's going to the center to try to keep it going. Like, I need to see, you know, kind of a greater impact besides training to the Fayette County taxpayer, your average taxpayer. And I think it's there based on some of the things Josh said yesterday. Just when you guys come in to present the training center budget and everything, just be ready to, you know, mention those things and tell us what, you know, what your plans are, what you foresee. Some of it we're not getting as much now, because as he pointed out, we don't have a lot of places for people to stay right now in this county. But we will. I mean, we have a hotel coming up over in Fayetteville by Walmart. There are going to be things. So we just need to see, you know, where the return is going to be, and what you guys are planning and how you think that's going to come back, because it really isn't fair to ask the taxpayers of the county to fund something that doesn't, you know, help them in every way. Like, for example, a farm that we paid for and funded for a while, and that is now its own 501c3. Like, I could not for the life of me get my head around that thing and how it was benefiting everybody. So we finally, you know, we kept up the deal the others, but we're not paying for it anymore. So when you see that we have money in the budget to pay deputies, that's why we're not paying for a farm anymore. That doesn't benefit the people throughout the county. And so that's just what I'm always thinking about anything, like how's this gonna benefit everybody? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the vice president of the training center down there, and our building proposal was at $1.9 million. I met with the fire marshal's office this past week, Wednesday, showed them our plans, went over some revisions, and we are actually meeting with our engineers next Tuesday to modify some wording. We more or less had our plans approved. We just have to modify some wording with a couple fire rated walls and some exits. Other than that, we're pretty good to go. As far as the expansion of the training center, not only with this building, just this past week, we had 3 rail cars, tankers for training that are now sitting at the alloy plant that we've worked out a deal with them. They brought up from Bell, they're staged at alloy. That's going to be part of our phase 2 project with our hazardous material training area. With that being said, we also acquired the tram and everything from Hawks Nest Lodge. Okay, the new companies are coming down from Morgantown in March to install the new ones. When they do that, they're coming to the training center and they're going to inspect ours down there. If everything passes inspection, part of our next phase, we're going to put a tram rescue course up along with ski lifts. There's no other ones in the East Coast. So we're going to bring a lot of people in for that. Behind the hazardous material area, we have a long hauler there that ties into Persimmon Road. We're going to build a UTV, ATV rescue course where we can train everybody in West Virginia how to properly remove people on these ATVs. Hatfield McCoys are coming in. They've already acquired a lot of property on Jenkins Fork, all the way from Jenkins Fork to Charleston. Benny just had to buy a side-by-side to his special operations. Shannon's in the process right now, but he's just like the rest of us. We're holding our breath to determine if this levy's going to pass or not. So we don't want to make any big expenditures right now until we see what happens in May. But the future is there for this training center. The Public Service Expo in Charleston. We're working a deal with C.W. Sigmund right now, who's emergency management director. Okay, they're wanting to use our training course. Okay, no problem. We're going to provide them the burn room managers. They're going to let our firefighters from Fayette County go to the expo for free. You look how much money that's saving on these chiefs. And the only thing we're going to charge them is the materials for the burn. So we're working out deals with all these other counties to bring people in. In the last 2.5 years, we've trained over 700 firefighters from outside of Fayette County.
And I imagine too, I was talking to Josh that with all your special teams, because of our terrain here and because of our whitewater rivers, we were saying, you know, people who don't have whitewater rivers suddenly have them when it floods, you know, and so that's another area where I know that we give expertise. I was just going to suggest that as you start to have these big things, maybe partner with the Chamber of Commerce or something, figure out if you can get food trucks out there or something to start giving business to our local business.
The last class we did, Tracy got the one
we had 2 food trucks.
Yes, come down. So we've been doing that. I work with Tim Naylor, both our sons wrestle together. So Tim's in the loop with that as well. But the future of our training center and where we're at in these last 2 years, one, we've been lucky that we haven't had any bad weather. It's been cold, but you know, we're bringing all these people in. We have an MOU with the city of Charleston. They're getting ready to start a new recruit that 4 of our Fayette County firefighters are getting ready to get hired at the city of Charleston. Guess where they come to train at? Our training center. We're working on a deal with the city of Huntington right now. So everybody sees this. This is a state-of-the-art training center, not just for Fayette County, not just for West Virginia. But we have people dying to come here from out of state. And when we get these other 2 or 3 phases done, here in the next 3 to 5 years, it is going to explode just like everything is from Oak Hill to Summerville right now. And so we're getting everything put into place. And it's just with your all support, and like I said, I will have the plans from the fire marshal's office on this building within the next 2 weeks. And we're going to keep moving forward with this with your all support. But as far as the future, it is bright. Because like I said, with the tram rescue, the ski lift rescue, the ATV rescue, none of that is offered in West Virginia. Because nobody has this. And it's right on our front porch.
They don't have the property for it.
They don't, not just the property, but the equipment.
Yeah.
You know, it's, people don't understand. I grew up from the fire service ever since I could walk. I can remember Benny and them and Shannon and them having hot dog sales and boot drives. Okay, and I've seen this levee grow because I've been in it now for 36 years. Okay, and I know how that money's spent, and I know what the future brings with the truck allotment and all of our special operation courses. Okay, when Benny built Montgomery Fire Department, when it opened in 1977, you could walk in and you're like, wow, no different than we did at Oak Hill in the 90s. We've outgrown that, not because of our operations, but our special operations. Chief Vernon just built an additional a couple years ago. Side by sides, swift water boats, all those are going into our stations now. That's one of the reasons Mike Gray has 2 stations, special operations. But anytime there's an incident in West Virginia, guess who they're calling? Us. We went to Mercer County at 3 o'clock in the morning. We spent what, a whole day at Shillian? Okay. Anytime the Park Service gets in a bind, who they call? Us.
Well, you saved the gorge. I mean, you saved all those homes in the gorge. It wasn't them.
Right.
I mean, we know all of that though. You're preaching, believe it or not, to the choir on how good our service is. I'm just saying from a commissioner perspective, as the person charged with spending taxpayer dollars, I would like to hear from the fire training at least twice a year. I'd like to hear what you're doing. You come in, talk to us at budget time, and then maybe, later on in the year and let us know what's up. Because, everything we know has been anecdotal. Now, I know I've had several invitations, haven't been down there yet. But to hear what your plans are and to hear how that's going to, feed our economy and bring in tax revenue, that's what we need to know as we're making the decisions about the funding.
You all are all business. It's not going to happen overnight. But in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see a difference.
I've actually been down there, but didn't know what you're just talking about. So, I mean,
Yeah. Could I invite you guys in the next event that, as they Charles Fire Department comes up, because they do a lot of things at once while they're there. We'd love for you to come down and spend an hour just to look at some of the things that, the phenomenon things that we've created down there is things that we've only experienced under live conditions and taking the chance of our life. Now we got an idea of what these things are going to do. I'm going to stick my head in that. Then you got to realize I call them junkyard dogs. We got guys that want to get in there and kick its butt. We've also got to teach them a way to do it where, they back up at least so that they can go home at the end of the day.
I also do have the military comes in, since you're a military person, we do train military there also.
I wondered if you were training them there. I thought, because I know they come in and train special ops in the gorge. I wondered if they were training on some of our rescue stuff.
Jaeger Airport, all their firefighters train at our place. Yep.
You guys know Steve Eads?
What I'll do is when we get done, I'll send you all email a schedule of our classes listed. And you're more than welcome to come down there when we're training. This summer, we're also going to be doing a heavy school bus extrication, just for to train all of our people, because not just our school buses up and down the road with kids, but our rafting. So we have a great relationship with the Board of Education. So when they get rid of buses, they always give us one per year. So that helps with our training as well too. So.
You asked about giving back to the taxpayer. That training center is a percentage of your ISO rating. So have that training center does give back to every insurance owner
Okay. See, that's the kind of information we need though. I mean, I just have to have it to in good conscience.
We have
allocate
to
money
have
toward.
joint training every year. Well, every time we have a class in here, if I've got 3 or 4 from Fayetteville and 3 or 4 from Montgomery and 3 or 4 from Armstrong Creek, that's covered. We write it off. Chief can put it down their training records. That is joint training. That's ISO credits.
Mr. Luis's or Brendan's, would y'all comment, what you think about the training center?
I think it's a wonderful thing. Anybody, regardless of what you do, your job, you need to be trained so that you're safe, number one. Number two, so that you can do the job effectively.
Well, I was gonna say basically the same thing Ms. Taylor said. I like a presentation. I'd like to know what's going on. I've been down at the training center, but I've never had what you just said presented to me. So, I mean, I'd like to know the outlook for the next 5 or 10 years.
That's not a problem. I can write it up, show you everything. You all come down there. I mean, we've even taken members of the media and put them in gear and went inside so they can get a different aspect of it. Because we can sit here and tell you all of it, but I can put you inside a room in an air pack and sit back there with one of our cameras we need to upgrade, and you'd be amazed with what you can see.
Well, let's upgrade those cameras first. And
So, that's not a problem.
Well, it's not even that. It's not even knowing nothing but what we've been presented in the last, what I've even been, and I've been down there. What we've been presented in the last 4 years that I've been here.
But
yeah, I mean, I appreciate you standing up and telling us this stuff.
yeah, no problem.
So, all right. So that, I mean,
With the training center, going back to that, I just want one last little thought. If you said bring us earlier a list of every item that you needed, we would pull all that out of your account thing, then where does that leave us on our training center? I just want to make sure that we still have a commitment for our funding for what we need there.
well,
Somebody needs to bring us up. Number one,
I think we're going to need a presentation.
That's what the association has always done. We prioritize things that we see we need.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you if it's over, replacing the radios or the air packs, it would not win. But
what's more important for your life?
Right. I mean, but that's, we just need to see we need to see the big picture. And I think, the association works very closely together. I think between the association and the training center board that we can have a pretty comprehensive idea of what the needs are and what the experts think the priorities should be. And, I'm open to all of that.
I might suggest.
You want to stir trouble?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just gonna stay out of their lane. These guys are good at what they do, they're professionals, but in my mind, just as a citizen, that training center needs a world-class entry right there. It needs a brick wall. Because right now I drive by on the and I'm just a normal person. I'm just thinking what you're doing. And when you're inviting Charleston and you're inviting other counties, you don't want to come into nothing. I mean, I just think it needs a little. It needs.
You write that down, John.
It's on our list.
Yep.
It ought to be one of the highest priorities.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get the rest of Montgomery Bridge painted too. Anybody have any more questions for us?
So if we get this list together, I just need to email Ruth this list so she can get to you before the 20th. Maybe
Yes.
you don't want it on the 20th. I've not heard you.
Preferably the evening of the 19th. I don't like to look at stuff last minute. I mean, I like to be able to study it and run them or ask Ruth to run numbers for me. And I just haven't had that opportunity with all of this. Yeah, and we probably would otherwise do it on the 19th, but it's a state holiday and we'd have to pay overtime to a bunch of employees who work hard. So we'll probably do it the morning of the 20th, right?
Yeah, we'd have to do it 20th. That's the last day. After 20th, it's.
Well, I'm just saying we wouldn't do it rather than the 19th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have everybody have to come in.
Yep.
Okay, so you want to do it at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm looking at my schedule. Oh, I'm not gonna be here the 20th.
The ballot drawings at 9.
I'll be gone next week.
Where are you going?
I'm just messing with you.
Hey,
I'm like, the hell you are.
The ballot wasn't drawing at 9. so
Okay.
we'll have to-
What time, how long will that take?
Shouldn't be more than half.
We do it at 10 o'clock then.
Real exciting.
I think you're gonna have to notice it as an emergency meeting because Monday's a holiday. Make sure somebody tell Brad Wolf that we're not trying to pull a fast one. Okay. Well, I appreciate all of you coming in today and telling us what's up. With a lot of notes. This is all fire levy notes. You have anything else, commissioners?
I'm good.
John? You're gonna have to walk me through this.
Okay.
Okay. Motion adjourned.
Adjourned.